When the sky falls at the holy ground, blind sheep gather and erect a pillar of fire. The desire will come. Welcome to another episode of Volume 1, the anime and manga podcast where we review the first volume of a brand new manga each week. My name is Josh, the egg of the perfect world, Michaels, and today, as always, I am joined by...
Megan Reunited Perrine.
Aww.
Cody Skull Knight Best Knight Decker.
Skull Knight Best Knight. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Volume 1. It's here. We made it. We are at the end of our conviction arc journey. Woo! It's our part 3 video. We do have a couple corrections to make here up at the top of the show. The first correction being that, yes, in our previous video, we did think that we only had 2 volumes left to cover, but we have 3. We are covering volumes 19 through 21.
And boy, did that throw our plans for a loop.
I mean, that really threw us off. But more story to digest and more story to talk about. We are saving a portion of the episode at the very end to read some of your comments because we asked you to shout out at the top of your lungs and make your corrections. Give us your corrections, give us your thoughts, give us your theories, give us your meanings, and you did. You showed up. So we're going to dedicate a part at the very end of the episode to discuss and talk about those comments along with some of the philosophies that people paralleled this story to as well. So as always, there will be chapters that you can click in the description down below to go to any part of the episode you like. But I hope you want to stay for the whole ride because it's going to be a good one. Let's jump into it. Where did we last leave off?
Where we last left off was... It's a really good question.
The end
Josh.
of the demon orgy.
Oh, is that at the?
Yeah. So.
With they're trying to sacrifice her, and then Guts Jr. comes out and saves Casca. Correct.
Yes.
Well, yeah, because right where we left off, I have this is probably the most notes I've ever taken for an episode. Period. Let alone a volume done. I mean, this is a packet that I have in front of me. But yes, the next thing that happens is Luca and the girls are in trouble. But Guts shows up to help them.
Yeah, the curly-haired girl just got spanked.
Oh, yes. And then they're going back to
And they're in trouble because other people in the camp are noticing that the group of prostitutes are getting more gifts and more things than everybody else. And one of them is reported to the Knights as a heretic and taken into custody.
Well, it's not only gifts. It's specifically gifts for Casca. Because they think that she's like a witch and she has like abilities. So they're like, just take it. And they're like, no, we can't accept this. They're like, just take it for her. And Acosta's just so fucking cute. She's like all at the jewelry and she's like shiny.
Yeah, she's cute, but in a tormented way.
Yeah, it's like, oh, if you didn't know what happened to her,
if I didn't know, it'd be cute. But because I know, it's like, ugh.
It's sad and I want her back. But yeah, so their heretics are coming.
They got them prisoner. They've tied them up. And Luca comes in to save the day. We are going to do our very best to recount these events that lead up to the finale. But really, a lot of what happens here is, while very important, I think the real meat of the conviction arc happens towards the end. So we're going to power through these first couple series of events so that this episode is not 4 hours long. But so Luca jumps in to save one of them.
Yeah,
and
he could have easily have been the scrappy kid that it's annoying in the plot, but he gets so many like solid moments.
Well, Isidro, he has so many standout moments. He really shines by the end of this arc, man. Like
it's hilarious.
And I have to be 100% honest. I mean, you could probably see it or hear it in my voice in the part 2 video, but his introduction, like he was heavy-handed, it felt, in the very beginning, and it felt like he was being forced on me, and I was slightly annoyed by him, but he completely won me over, and more so by the end.
And I believe that he could like follow Guts and like not be like a burden.
Yeah,
because he actually can do shit.
Yeah, and not only does he do stuff, but I mean he does very important stuff. He does things that really matter and really change the course of everything that sort of happens. But so Guts shows up.
Woo!
And
God.
That was so nice to like he's finally like in the picture.
It's heart wrenching.
Like the the whole thing is you're seeing, oh, here's this group of torturers and these helpless like civilians, and it's like Guts can't do anything because he's not there. Now he's finally here.
Yeah.
And not only that, he's like in the vicinity of Casca in the last
close.
2 years, and he's so close. And you're just like, let this man see her.
Yeah.
Like,
He's so close, but it wouldn't be Berserk if he found her easily.
yeah.
Because while he steps in and really gives the Chain Knights gives them the fight they were looking for the first time. I mean, he's in full form right now. Whereas when they met him the first time, he had just literally fought an apostle. I mean, he was not doing well. Now he's at full strength and he really cuts through them and wipes them all
And they're
out.
all just like, this is not who we were fighting the first time.
No. Yeah.
Like,
Which
this is not a man.
Yeah, it's nice to see him get that payback, that revenge. And, Luca notices that he has the same brand of the sacrifice that Casca has. So to her, Casca is Elaine. So he's like, who's this Casca person that you keep mentioning? And puts it together with the brands. Leads Guts to where Casca is at. And this whole time, Casca has been with Nina. Okay, Nina, of course, the girl who's been sick and dying and has really been going through it.
She's been going through it, and honestly, she has not redeemed herself once yet in this arc. She's very annoying.
Yeah.
And I feel bad for her, of course, because she's dying, but she just never steps up.
Is Nina the one that drags her away?
Yes.
Yeah, Nina's the one who drags her away.
She's like,
Nina's
they're gonna get us, so you and me have to leave.
And she's
Nina's
like,
the
I
one
hate you. But I didn't mean that. I'm sorry.
She's the one who threw Zhao Chim off the cliff.
And is like, why is he mad at me?
Yeah. Yeah, Nina really goes through it this arc, and a lot of these characters do, and it's interesting to see where they all end up, especially with Nina. She has an arc, but at the end of this episode, we will find out if it was enough to win you over, which I don't think it was.
Yeah, it was weird. I'm like, you didn't address the issue. I mean, it's not like you yelled at him. You chased him off a cliff.
I mean,
and try to get him to join your devil worshipping orgy.
Yeah. There are some poetic things, I think, with what is being said about her and her relationship with Luca and what Luca does for her. And I think she's definitely taking a step in the right direction. But I don't know if it's a big enough step.
No, it's baby steps. Just like babies get spanked, she gets spanked.
Exactly. It's just this weird thing where she chased a guy to kill him after he denied joining the demonic sex cult.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then she got spanked, and now she's like, yeah, I guess I was too harsh on him.
Well, I mean, I think she is a person who is just her fear, which is what a lot of people feel, obviously, in this area. And it's sort of the cause or what exacerbates everything. Her fear of death, her, there are so many things that she is going through emotionally that she isn't able to overcome. And a lot of these characters are dealing with things that they aren't either able to face and admit or overcome.
Or, I mean, like she is prime example of like sticking with your fear versus like, you're afraid, but yet you persevere because it has to be done.
And I think that's a line from Luca or Guts later on where they say something to that effect.
Well, I mean, probably, but I think Skull Knight says something.
Or
to that
maybe it was Skull Knight.
It was Skull Knight
probably the best boy.
When he's watching her leave, he's just like, wow, she's definitely scared and she can't stand a chance to any of these people or like, these monsters, but she's still going in there. I was like, yeah. Luca's a bad bitch.
Luca's a badass. Isidro's a badass. There are characters, Jerome, Serpico. There are so many characters that get their moment in this finale and have really, really, really won me over. But to keep powering through until we get to the meat of it, Nina takes Casca, runs off so that by the time Guts gets there, she's gone.
And those moments, touch and go, you're just like, oh, you're so close. It hurts. It really does hurt.
Yeah. Yeah. And the heretics capture Nina and Casca immediately.
Yeah, captured
and take her back to the cave.
Yeah.
And the only person that sees this is Isidro, who is, thinking logically and says to himself, like, I don't have time to go get Guts. I also don't really know what I'm going to be able to do, but I'm just going to follow.
And I'm loving this duo with Puck and him.
Oh, yeah.
And they're just like, Puck's like, I don't want to hang out with Mr. Grumpy Pants over there. I want to hang out with a fun person that likes my company a little bit more. And it's just such a fun dynamic between the two of them. They really do
have a great dynamic.
Yeah, and this art, these couple volumes, I'm just like, oh, look at them. They're funny as hell.
Yeah.
He gets to do more things physically, too.
Yeah.
Because he's needed more.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, they complement each other so well. And Puck, stands up and actually does some really cool stuff too.
He communicates. Like Guts is just like, I'm going to do everything by myself, when he could easily be like, Puck, can you go do this or do that? Where he's like, can you do that? Can you do that? Like they're communicating, working as a team. And it makes Puck shine even more than he already does.
Yeah, and Puck obviously does still see himself as the alpha between the two of them. And I think they both see themselves that way a little bit, which makes their dynamic hilarious at the same time.
So funny.
Yeah.
He's such a funny little kid.
Yeah, so they take Nina and Casca to the cave. Isidro follows them, and the heretics attempt to sacrifice Nina to Casca. So they now view Casca as their sorceress supreme. And they...
Queen.
Their
Yes,
queen. Yes, queen. They want to sacrifice Nina to her as an offering by cutting her heart out, and
as one does,
as one in a sex cult for sure does.
Yeah. Like what else are you gonna do?
Yeah, and but Isidro again has his moment to shine where he just starts. He doesn't know what to do, so he just starts throwing rocks at them. He's like, "I have the high ground."
Yeah, he's like, "I have the high ground."
Yeah. And he's hitting his marks. You know?
He really is. He's knocking people out. I mean,
knocking people out. And then Puck flies off to go get Guts, and there's an awesome panel of just Puck flying at full speed to go get Guts, and his face is just like pulled back, and you can see his eye sockets and his mouth wide open.
That's what I like too. Is like his decision made sense because you also have a fairy who can fly, so
fly fast.
So just go scout, and then it can be reported back.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, everything he's doing is also the best option that they have. This is where, and again, this is going to start playing more and more into the finale. I've made special notes here because I do not want to forget that this is a moment that the eyes seem to be looking at things again. Now, we end up finding out who these eyes finally belong to. I don't think any of us were right on our predictions.
No, I never would have guessed. I don't think I could have ever guessed
I don't think we ever could have guessed.
No.
I reread that part a couple times.
I was like,
And what is interesting looking back, knowing the full context of who these eyes belong to, is that the eyes are definitely nudging things into a certain direction. The eyes need a certain series of events to happen. Therefore, when things seem to even have a possibility of straying, it will nudge it in the right direction, like it does with Zhao Qim. Zhao Qim is standing now with the Chain Knights and is sort of just like hanging out when Guts shows up and Casca, Isidro, and Nina escape from the back of the cave. The eyes, you just see a rock be thrown to lead Zhao Qim down the path. So there are always things that these eyes are doing. And I just think that is really interesting looking back now, how much that affects the story and the series of events that unfolds. So yeah, Zhao Qim leads Farnese and the Knights to the cave. The flames that are in the cave now start to billow and turn into faces, the ones that are being lit to sacrifice Nina. And this is another interesting thing. Again, I really want to do right by everybody watching and listening, so I looked into as many things as I could about the meaning of these things. And I'm interested to see like how you interpreted it or what you what you took from it, I guess. Is that now it's clear to me that these flames that billowed and turned into these faces around her are the spirits of the people who have died on that land, right?
Yeah.
And their pain and their fear is drawn to Casca's brand. And this is actually, to go back to what we saw earlier, this is what we saw in the village and in the cave during the orgy. So this is what we also saw and why the rats formed and made the head of a God-hand member. Because if there is we're starting to learn that if there is a large amount of people and they all feel an intense emotion that is the same and they become one voice, it will summon the essence sort of the God-hand into the realm of existence.
Well, that makes sense because we had the whole sacrifice thing happen where all of them were like literally sacrificed during the eclipse. That was able to make Griffith into a possible God hand if that wasn't already like decided.
Well, I mean, he's definitely a God hand.
Well, now, sure. I mean, during that moment, but like the sacrifices definitely nudged it up a bit because they're all feeling horribly
Yeah. Well, yeah.
The whole band of the Hawk were not having the best day.
Because the Skull Knight decided to he loosely told Guts what was happening, which was there's going to be like a second one, kind of, but it's not going to be exactly the same as an eclipse, but they're going to try to recreate the event.
And there was a lot of people that.
Yeah, for me, I was sort of like, they already did it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's what that whole orgy was about? Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And that's another thing, too, is like now seeing things that are mirrored and seeing exactly what is being mirrored versus what is not. But so the men obviously get possessed by all of these spirits and start to eat each other again. And we get to see the closest thing that will ever get to zombies and Berserk. I mean, they're just eating.
Well, I mean, who knows?
Oh, that's a good point.
We still have a long way to go.
Yeah.
There could be a zombie arc.
Yeah. Skeletons and demon-possessed men.
Elves.
Yeah.
Elves? Oh, yeah, and demon elves.
Yeah, we've seen a lot, but it is cool to see like Mira's take on like zombies and what a zombie undead horde would look like.
I do like the detail where they bite faces and stuff, and it is like, if you left a bit of yourself exposed, they'll... And like, obviously, like you're not like, no one's prepared for someone to try to bite their face off.
Oh no, can you imagine? I mean, oh my God, it's the worst.
And that's
place to be eaten.
The thing too is you could bite someone's finger off, but like you have like this like thing that like stops you from doing that. Mm-hmm. So you're not even ready for someone not having that limit in their head to be like, no, you're not supposed to do that.
Yeah. So
Megan, did you have thoughts?
Yeah,
on
Megan,
that?
I feel like if we're gonna talk about eating people, then you need to chime in.
Chime in. What can I say? Don't leave your face exposed because some people don't have that, fallback.
That's solid.
Don't
advice.
leave your heart exposed.
Don't leave your heart exposed.
That is even more solid advice.
Because that could get eaten too.
Truer words have never been spoken.
Yeah.
Right.
But more importantly, your face getting eaten off by zombies.
Yes.
And then that's when Isidro sees the heretic and they're and the goat man and they're escaping through the back of the cave.
I thought it was really weird, like funny. How like the goat man is just like, oh, my horns are getting stuck, and he's just like some guy. Like I thought he was like a demon, but he's just like the horns.
Well,
like he's just a guy wearing a helmet.
He seems very lanky and like I don't know. He seems like when they showed him before he before he has a whole transformation, he seemed like I don't know, like unhumanly. I don't know, maybe because.
And was the snake penis? Did that already exist? Before
I'm under he was mutated, and he was
mutated
to have a snake penis.
To have a snake penis, he's.
How do you get that mutated? No, I'm not asking for me.
Like, where do I sign up? Who do I call?
It was not that at all. Not that at all. I meant, how did he get that if he's just a human?
No, that was post like the thing like stabbing him.
No, it wasn't, because the thing is about to stab him right now.
Yeah.
He has the snake penis before that?
That's what I'm asking. That is one thing that I'm not 100% sure of. I think he did for whatever reason, but I could be wrong.
And again, Casca getting in trouble, like...
Well, yeah, Casca's never... Yeah, it's like Tom and Jerry with her.
It really is. She
the
can't
Tom is much worse. It's Tom and Jerry, but every now and then Tom does catch Jerry, and you go, "Oh God!"
No. Yes.
I get why every episode he's always gets away.
He always gets the upper hand because it's funny.
That's the implication is this would happen too.
Yeah.
No.
Wow. Dark.
I did like. It was nice at least that it does just become a snake. So all it does is crawl around her because I was like, oh wow, already.
But even that is another panel that seemed to mirror things that happen in the eclipse.
Yeah.
But what is interesting to your point, Cody, what you mentioned is yes, as they are escaping, the eyes or the thing that is hiding in the shadows turns like there is like a tendril or a tentacle, or there is just something that comes out of the shadows with a prick and pricks the goat head man, who I guess was human, which also I want to talk about Mosgus when we get to him. I never thought he was human, but apparently he was.
The lead priest?
The priest, yeah.
Yeah, he just was a square man.
Apparently he was just square.
Fuck? And he was like 9 feet tall.
Yeah, I thought for sure the moment we met him, like, oh, he's an apostle or he's somebody who has a behelit or something.
Yeah, he's got something. No, he's just a wild man.
Or you could just be like half mutated. And
genetics?
Yeah. I mean, bad genetics, I guess, on his part. But it's interesting, too, because I don't want to call these things apostles because I don't think they are apostles. But the goat gets pricked.
Apostle adjacent.
Apostle adjacent, maybe like
archangels.
A half apostle, a demi-apostle.
It would be impossible
for
them to be apostles.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Megs.
Yeah, Megs. And so, yeah, he does get mutated or turned into this beast and has a fight with Guts, who has shown up, who has blown his way through the mouth of the cave where the Chain Knights, some of them are guarding the mouth of the cave, like Azan is there and some others are there. But I think Farnese is deeper in, and he just blows through all of them, and only to see them trying to escape out the back door, and then him being stopped by this like goat demi-apostle thing.
And oh my God, yeah, he just finally gets to see her.
He gets a glimpse of her.
He gets a glimpse that he's like, and then Farnese is like, that guy, I don't care about anything else, kill that guy. And they're like, chill, homie, chill. We got other shit to work. She's like, no, my orders are to kill that man. And she's just freaking the fuck out.
Yeah, she's become more assertive, but to be wrong about things.
Yeah, she's become more assertive, and she doesn't fight still. And and she's obsessed with killing Guts because Guts saw her in that vulnerable state, and she never wants her to get out. But Guts doesn't give a fuck about her, and he's never going to talk about her again.
If she only knew that was literally the last thing on Guts' mind.
He's never going to bring it up. He's going to forget who she was, and that's it. Just leave this man alone. Like, that's the funniest part about it. Like,
but I think, and we find out later too, that it's also because Guts has like shown her something, and I think it's paralleled by the conversation that Luca has with Nina about light and someone being full of light, and that while it is nice to have light in your life, it can shine and expose the darkness or the true nature of who you really are.
That sounds like a you problem.
I mean, Cody, come on, dude. At this point, we're over 100 episodes in. Sorry.
Which one? Who's the light here?
Cody. 100 and how many now? Moving on.
100 and how many now?
So this is where another fight happens. And look, I don't think any of us disagree that the fights, like Cody, you said, are visually beautiful, stunning.
But nothing to, there is a good fight.
Yes. But there's not really to unpack. Except that the one cool thing that I think came from this fight is that Guts gets to use some of his new equipment.
Yeah, and he loves that shit. Yeah. He has a smile from like ear to ear. He's like, these explosives come in handy. I've like never seen him more happy in my life. I was like, he loves this.
Yeah. I like it. Yeah, he doesn't save the cannon for like, he doesn't like use it once and it's done. He like just uses it all the time.
Mm-hmm. Oh, whenever he can. Yeah. But these new things are like these like bombs, basically like these miniature explosives that he can throw. And it's ultimately how he's able to defeat the goat apostle, or
Is he like, what is he like, force feet? What does he do?
Well, he uses his arm to light them, and then throws them at the apostle or the demi-apostle, pseudo-apostle as it's running towards him, and then uses his sword as like this like shield, so that when it rams his sword, it will kind of explode against his blade, and then when it pulls away, its face is just like falling off. And then he uses that moment to like pierce him.
Yeah. So what you do get is a nice contrast between him fighting apostles in the past and now. Like it's a lesser apostle or not apostle, whatever. It's a mutated person.
Yes. Yes. Let's workshop a name for him though.
A Notzels.
A Notzels. It sounds too much like a.
Well, how does church hierarchy? Where do we apostle? Novice? Adepts?
We'll just call them like Padawans? What if we call them fake apostles? Like what if it's like what's a better word for like fake apostle?
Faux apostles.
I like it in concept, not so much the word.
In execution,
but I think it applies.
A Notzels.
I started with that.
No, I thought you said that.
No, Cody started with that. You said no.
Notzels.
Oh, no, you just said Notzels. It sounds a lot like Nazi, dude.
Okay, say it again.
I don't want to disrespect.
No, I mean, I just don't want, I don't want us to get flagged for how many times we might have to use that word.
Okay, let's go with faux otzels.
No, I like Johnny. What was your other one?
Well, I just added an A to what he said.
Fine. Notzels. And we're moving on.
Notzels.
A Notzels.
A Notzels.
A not apostle.
So he fights an Anotzel, which I assume is the mini-boss version.
Yeah.
We're done.
Go ahead.
So you do get a thing like he's able to take those down like pretty quick compared to like oh, you're never gonna win that fight.
Yeah, and he definitely needed the help of these new weapons. But I think what really is clear now that I've seen this fight with him and this goat is that it really punctuates and solidifies to me how important that that Megan, can we help you?
Or you want me the whole time?
Yeah.
Sorry.
We got one comment about Megan's bangs, and she will not stop going.
Because they look bad.
They look great. It really shows me how badass that fight that he had with Rosine in the beginning of this arc was. I was hesitant to say that it was my favorite fight that I had seen in Berserk up until that point because I didn't know of all the other fights that were going to come. But having at least finished the Conviction arc, I am even more sure that fight between him and Rosine was something special, because a lot of these other fights, while important and while
they're more quick, and to the cool part is obviously he's basically spamming all of his attacks now,
and they're more like, and this is not a disrespect, I enjoyed every one of them, but they do start to feel more formulaic. Like, this is where Guts is winning, this is where he's losing, this is where he comes back.
It wasn't a climax fight.
Yeah. And there is one fight towards the end that I think is a lot of fun. So they're escaping, and one fight that I do think is up there is a fight that takes place after Guts is able to break through and he meets Serpico on the ledge of the cliff.
Oh, yeah. I loved this moment between the two of them. It was so freaking badass.
Yeah.
Just the fact that they're like both realizing that like they're, he's like, oh, he's a skilled fighter. So he's not just going to, use this guy with brute. He had drove him up there because he knew he couldn't use the sword because it was too big.
I mean,
he knew he was too big in general because Guts is like, I don't even know how tall he is, but he's definitely got the, upper hand in a small area to control him. That was crazy.
Yeah. Serpico is becoming one of my absolute favorite characters. I mean, he does play a bigger role later, but he, in this moment, I think shines the brightest he's ever shown. He's charismatic. He's charming. He's strategic. Yes. He's everything. He's agile.
He's the dexterity to Guts.
Yeah, man. That's a beautiful way to put it.
He's the dexterity.
And the way, like Megan said, that he's using everything that Guts has against him. He's using his strength. He's using he's even thought it through to the point where he has Guts' good arm against the cliff and everything, the size of his sword, like you said. It's so perfect. And so for them to have this moment.
Stop.
You're making your bangs look fine.
Stop. He's telling me off of camera and you. Oh, now you're embarrassed.
I think this fight was one of my favorite
we're not
fights.
talking about this. Oh, yes, we're talking about the fight. We're talking about the fucking fight.
And it ends basically with, and Serpico he's not backing down. He is still playful, and he is still he's very aware of when he's not winning or when the tide has turned and he can't win.
He backs out.
It's
not worth it. He's
smart.
He's smart. He's like, this is not worth it. I'll probably get him again. So I'm not going to do this right now.
And to see him swing, when Guts swings his sword at him and he's able to literally jump down off the cliff and sort of hang off the edge and swing around behind Guts and then bolt. I mean, he's great, man. He's great. And he shines throughout it. But I think this was one of my standout Serpico moments for sure.
It was a nice side character moment to have too, which was he knows he put up a fight.
Yeah.
And then he's also like, I'm out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Guts too recognizes him as a fighter.
They both are kind of having these parallel thoughts of ooh, that's kind of a tough one. Or
yeah, it's so funny too. Cause I'm sure that, I don't know if they can even imagine what the other is thinking, but they're both thinking man, this guy might get me.
Yeah.
But it was a really cool fight and a really cool moment. And then that's when the eyes lead Zhao Qim to Nina, and which leads Zhao Qim leads the Chain Knights to them. So Nina and Casca are taken to the torture chamber, and it's a moment where Isidro, because they get to a point on the cliff where the path stops and there's just a rope, and so Isidro kind of lets them down, but then no one is there to let him down. So he just kind of has to like jump off the cliff's edge, and he gets tangled in the rope. And then the Chain Knights find them and escort them away.
And Guts realizing this, he's walking back. He's all like, damn, they got her. I had one job. And Guts just sees him without Casca, and he was about to murder him.
Oh, yeah.
He was this close to actually killing him.
Yeah.
Like, you saw the rage in his eyes. I was like, no, Guts, don't turn into your messed up old man.
Yeah.
And he just lets him go, and he's like, it's not over, I guess.
I mean, again, this is starting to mirror the eclipse when Casca is always just a little out of his reach the whole time. But Nina gets taken to be tortured. Rats on Casca immediately. This is where
they had the line where it's like, well, we didn't even have to torture you at all. We didn't even get to take a fingernail.
Well, before that,
they're like, okay, we're gonna take you. And then she starts walking. He's like, actually, pranked. I'm going to take you.
Yeah.
He's like, I can't stand low lifes like you that only think about themselves. And she was literally in that moment being like, oh my God, I'm glad they're kind of taking her. I don't want to be taken. And it's like, he knew. He read her face. He's like, you suck.
And to be told that by him is like even worse.
But it's like, it's exactly the truth. Like, that's what's even worse. Like, it could be like, oh no, like, no, she's only thinking about herself. She doesn't want to die. That's it.
Yeah, and this is a constant with Nina.
I am like, I would have done that. You know, especially her, like, you write it out before we torture. I'm like, yeah, that's what I would do.
Well, I mean, look, dude, it's just like, it's not like brave to say. It's the truth. If me and Cody were locked in a chamber together and they took Cody, first of all, I wouldn't want them to take Cody.
No.
Second of all, I wouldn't stop them from taking Cody.
Absolutely not. I wouldn't. If positions reversed, I would be like, that sucks for you.
I'd be like, damn. But also, I'm alive.
Also, thank God it was not me.
Yeah, I as soon as Cody left the cage, I would just go, whew, because I would be relieved.
Yeah, I'll ask you how it went when you come back.
Right. I mean, I would probably just gather from context clues and not even ask.
Yeah. But I think when the torturer does say, like, I'm going to take your fingernail off just for the sake of it.
Yeah.
And like, he like takes off her like one of her fingernails.
Yeah.
But I would give all my information. Rest assured, you don't even have to torture me for anything.
I mean, you at least
I want that on the record.
You at least have to tie me up. At least. And then maybe brandish some sort of weapon, and then I'll say everything. I'm not going to say everything just from you grabbing me, but the moment I see like anything, I mean, it could end up being a cell phone. I mean, I'll tell you whatever you need to know.
Right, you will not be getting a, is that all you got from me?
Absolutely
no,
not.
Sir. You will be getting a, whatever you want, buddy, it is yours.
Wow, you guys are weak.
Megan,
you say that.
You say that.
I would get tortured a lot.
You would, because you would be into it. And that's the difference. Because it's part of... And that's the narrative you've decided to create.
No. I'd be like, I'll take one for the team, guys. Don't worry about it. I'll go first.
Like, we're not going to torture you.
I'll come back.
And
I'll let you guys know.
We were actually going to let you go.
Oh.
Okay. But
just call me.
You're going to give the executioners your number. Good call.
If you have any...
Just in case they have any other questions.
Yeah. No, like whatever. They could always call me.
If you want to know anything, just
call me up.
It doesn't even have to be about heretics or anything.
No.
Of which I know many.
Oh, yeah. I got lots of info. But you're going to have to torture me to get it. But yeah. And then there's this really, I feel it's not super insignificant, but in the grand scheme of everything that happens, it is a beat that I feel like is necessary for, bows that are tied at the end. But I don't think in this moment it is all that necessary to linger on. But Farnese just basically gets told that she's going to be sent home.
Farnese more like care less. I mean,
I liked it. Didn't rhyme, but I loved it.
Yeah.
It doesn't work as a more like.
I like it. I like when they kind of don't rhyme.
You said it like it was wordplay at all.
Here's the thing. Yeah. You said it like you didn't even care. And I added to it.
I mean, yeah, we can go in. We'll talk about some comments that we received about this character. I just don't see any hope at the moment because I just don't care about anything she does. And that's an insane statement to make for a Berserk character that's had a significant part in the last couple volumes. It just doesn't click.
Yeah,
for me.
I didn't get a sense of like conflict with her when she's working with these torturers. Well, actually, she like it seems like she's for it now.
She likes it.
So like,
yeah, I mean, I will say that
also, she objectively likes torture.
Mm-hmm.
While I started hating Farnese, I end the conviction arc on the fence.
Close nephew.
Oh. Yeah, Farnese, close nephew. Yeah. I am on the fence. I didn't want to let that one.
Wow, that was really good, Cody.
I didn't want to just brush past it. So we'll sit here for a minute and we'll appreciate it. And moving on. So this is where things really pick up. And it's where Mosgus, because, Farnese is told she's going to get sent home. And, the torturers are escorting Casca now to be tortured, and Farnese, who is meeting with Mosgus and just like he's thanking her for her service and everything that she's done to help him be a part of this whole thing, she notices Casca being escorted by the torturers and says like, hey, I know that girl. That's the girl that the Black Swordsman was trying really hard to save. And I think a lot of the prisoners then start saying like, sorceress, like save us, like help us. And of course, Mosgus is not gonna ignore that. He immediately captures her and puts her into this like spiked coffin.
The Iron Maiden.
The Iron Maiden.
Do you think that's what it's called?
No, I know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. I was worried you thought it was a joke or something.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it sounded like you're like, that would make sense.
No, I had forgotten that it was called that.
Oh, okay. All right.
And I knew it had, that reaction was like, I knew what it was called, but I forgot.
The chapter was also called that. But when it opens,
uh-huh.
When it opens, you see that someone was already in there.
Oh, yeah.
And that like adds sort of the element of like seeing torture depicted.
Yeah, and Casca's just like, huh?
What?
Casca's just not scared at all.
It's the next cover where it shows the baby as like an angel.
Yeah, and honestly, Guts Jr. is pulling the weight of 1,000 men.
Yeah.
And they put Casca in this Iron Maiden, and immediately her brand starts bleeding, and then all of the spirits or whatever, the ghosts, the bodies start, making a way for her not to get by the needles or put into the needles. And I was like, that is so cool.
Yeah, so like is Guts like putting a barrier and the demons were going to come there anyway, or is he actively controlling them?
I think he's actively Guts Jr.
Guts Jr., sorry.
We
should come up with a different name.
Yeah.
Why?
Literally, why?
Why would we?
But yeah, so I think what is happening in this moment is, yes, he is protecting her, and he is emanating some sort of energy or some sort of light.
It's like
because they are afraid of light and fire.
It looks like a holy power, and the cover implies that it is. So I don't know if that's just like a playing with it, or if like.
Well, no, he's clearly emitting some sort of light, and I think it's because, yes, they are afraid. Later on, we find a fire and light, and I think he is. And to your point, I think it might be a holy light or some sort of. It's a magical light essence, because everybody else, once it breaks out of the Iron Maiden and starts to consume everybody in the room, when it consumes them, you see their flesh and everything deteriorate, and they turn to skeletons inside of these blobs of blood. That is the blood of everyone who's been tortured there. And it's also carrying the pain of all these people too.
Which is a great comeuppance. I hate in stories where the torturers just get like, they'll just get like shot. I'm always like, I don't know if this is like, twisted. Yeah. But I do wish torturers to be tortured.
Absolutely. And I don't even know if they do. Some of them do.
Some of them
like
die.
The main ones.
Yeah. Some of them I'm like, I would have liked a little more suffering on your end.
Yeah.
It's a thing that bugs me, I get like why a person like, it's not like a story flaw. It's just something I would like to see.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, we saw, Griffith's torturer kind of get tortured a bit. It wasn't that much. I mean, I'm surprised Guts didn't go, full berserk at that moment.
I mean,
but
he had he had Griffith for a year or more, right?
And he gets like,
he just got like his tongue cut out and
which does not.
Yeah, I mean that is not even the
equivalent.
Scales.
Yeah, they shouldn't have time. Yeah.
No, but
it's not. It's not a story flaw. I'm not saying that's a writing issue. It's just something that bugs me. I'm like, I would have liked to see them like scream.
Yeah, no, for sure. I get that. I'm there with you. But yeah, so I think that too. When it absorbs also these tortures, it seems as if they're getting bigger and bigger. Whether it's because they're gaining mass and more blood, or if it's because it's feeding on their fears and everything as well. But it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's absorbing and spreading and disintegrating everything. And we see Casca inside of one unharmed because Guts Jr. is there, emanating that light, protecting her. And you're right, he plays. I did not expect for the role he plays in this to be so big.
Like he's like a major player now here.
Yes. And I mean, I hope to see more of him.
I thought he was going to be a thing that Guts would see every now and then and be like, fuck.
Yeah, no, he becomes a main character in this last arc or portion of the arc. But so Guts captures Farnese and makes her lead him to the torture chamber because she's, off and about trying to escape.
Love those moments between them too.
Well, that's the first time she saw him too. I think.
And she's like, "You want to go down there? You want to go down to the?" And he's just like, he's like, "I'm gonna break you. Shut up!" Like it was so funny.
Yeah.
Because it's like, he doesn't care. She thinks that he cares so much about what happened. And it's just like, that's his everyday life, girl.
Yeah.
That happens to him all the time.
Yeah, she has no idea. And also, she spends too much time in disbelief. I mean, we need to get moving, and she's over there contemplating reality. And I'm like, let's put some pep in that step.
Yeah, she's like, she sees all the bodies. It did this. And it's like, you were doing the same shit for months with the torturers and dead half alive people. What do you mean it did this? You've been doing this.
You've been following the orders of a 10-foot tall square man.
Yeah. He looks like that Gumby character.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense to me. She's such a hypocrite.
Yeah, I mean, she really is. And, maybe that's also allegorical. But
Al Gore?
No, absolutely not.
Now that's an inconvenience.
Now that's an
truth.
You can't get political.
Yeah. So
I
so
try
then
to stop myself.
Luca, Jerome, and Isidro, they find Nina, which at this point in my mind, Nina keeps narrowly escaping death. And I keep thinking, when is it going to happen? Because in my mind, it's going to happen. But for being the most scared and the most weak character, I mean, she is always getting rescued.
Literally, Nina more like Sia. Like I don't care about you. Like I do not care if you survive or die. I only care because Lucas say because she's gonna be sad. Other than that, you have nothing to offer me whatsoever. Yeah. Just to be a person that needs to be saved constantly and has really good luck for some reason. Even though, I mean, I don't know. Maybe that orgy helped her give her powers or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it'd be one thing if she was just a kid who was like annoying and always needed help. But she just in her mind killed another kid.
Yeah. Yeah. So that she could go get DP'd in a cave.
Yeah. By literal demons.
And the reason I am so graphic about it is because there's a panel that shows it.
That's the panel.
And now she's like,
Central.
Yeah, and I was like, what do I do now? And it's like, I don't know, man. Maybe go back to your freaking cult.
I mean, it's really hard for me. And I have to imagine that there are people out there who believed in her sort of growth or in her sort of journey.
I want to hear it. I want to hear what people have to say about it because I can't wrap my hand around
it. We could talk about her for a while.
We'll talk about her more towards the end. But the only way I relate to her is in the sense that she does.
You're a sex cult.
Well, I am a walking sex cult.
Yes.
Yeah.
Getting DP.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what you relate to.
Yeah, sure. Is that supposed to be a diss?
Having STD?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, are you saying that? Are you making some sort of like
you're saying what you relate to her? I'm just saying things that are facts that
you act like we're insulting.
Every dude at one point has thought he had an STD. Let's be real. Cody. Okay, thanks for having my back.
Yeah.
No, it backfired.
That's okay, Nina.
But I think that the only reason I relate to her is because she is the only person I think, as brave as people want to act like they would be, she is probably acting like everybody would act in that situation.
Oh, I'm not saying her reactions are unrealistic.
No.
I just don't like her.
As a character, I don't like her either, which might mean that I wouldn't like myself if I was in that situation, which I'm sure I wouldn't. Because
you don't like yourself in this situation.
Okay,
none of us do.
Yeah.
Not you specifically.
None of us like you yourself.
Like that,
no,
none of us like ourselves.
I didn't mean all. None of us like ourselves. That's what I should have said. Not you.
Thanks for clarifying.
I did.
Okay.
You're welcome.
But yeah, I do think that she would react that way, or people would react that way. I think there are a lot of people.
Oh yeah, I would not be fighting demons. Yeah, I would be. No. I would hide in a barrel if I could.
Uh-huh.
So if she's there to represent
The common man?
The common man and what people would actually be dealing with. Mm-hmm. Because I'm sure there are a lot of people that read it and go like, oh, well, she's this or she's that. It's like, you'd be doing the same thing.
Yeah, it's not that she needs to be rescued. It's that what she's done in like a day ago. I'm like, you're a villain.
It's just like
But she accidentally, I think, didn't she accidentally kill Zhao Qin or whatever?
No. She was chasing him.
She was chasing him. Well, yeah.
And he fell.
Yeah, she was like,
accidentally killed him because she wasn't able to do it herself.
But she was yelling, kill him.
Yeah, she was yelling, oh, you want to back out, kill him.
Yeah.
And it's like,
and she sicked the entire orgy on this kid to kill him.
Right.
And the only reason it was an accident is she didn't get to do it herself.
And it would be different if she got redeemed somehow. She was like, take me instead of Casca. Then I would have been like, okay, that would have maybe gave her a little bit for me. But just the fact that she's, even the, Punisher or whatever is like, you're a mess and we haven't even done anything. And she's just bawling her eyes out and she doesn't want to die. And she's just
her redemption has been a post-orgy spanking, which
okay, fair enough.
Yeah, well, we'll go on.
We'll put a puck in that and come back to it.
Solid.
Thanks, guys. So speaking of Puck, we find Puck again, and we find Puck because Puck is still in the torture chamber when Guts and Farnese get there. And you just see a helmet moving on the floor, and Puck is hiding, and Guts lifts it up, and Puck is like just rolling around.
Guts is like, what are you doing here?
In the helmet.
Is that, when does Puck get his leave this to me? Is that later?
Yeah. And it's at that time too that Mozgus and his crew face death, and that is when everything is breaking through their these doors that is protecting him and his torturers. It breaks through, and he's like, this is a test. Our faith is being tested. If we pass this test, we will be rewarded. And he's right.
Yeah.
He gets rewarded with the breath of fire and God, I guess.
And he starts naming all of his attacks.
He does.
He's like, this is the God touch, and you like does like a punch, and you're like, he's just really feeling
he's
this power up.
His power.
He's like 1,000 fist attack, and no one else does this.
I know, right?
Yeah, no, all of his homies get abilities too.
Yeah, no one's out there naming them.
No. I mean, he's waiting for this moment all of his life.
Yeah, and we do see, it's important to note that the reason he does start getting these abilities is because as they're in this chamber, you can see through the it's like a sun
skylight.
A skylight. You can see that moonroof skylight. You can see this creature, sort of like a spider-like creature, sort of descending, and then pokes them.
It's the same thing that poked the goat man.
Which I think is interesting because later when we find out more about him, it's very. Mozgus will turn this into something that has been given to him from God. What is interesting is that this creature is not only doing this to the priests, he's doing it to the heretics too. He's giving power to the quote unquote evil and the good side.
But both of those people had faith in something. The occultists had faith in that cult. So
too true, my friend.
So if it is faith based, the goat man does get strong, but not as strong. Whereas the priest gets like the most like power up. Either like he consciously chose that, or that's something that's like a rule where like a person who is more faithful is more like morphable,
or maybe he's drawn to those people.
Yeah. So which is it?
Yeah. That is interesting, but I think it's at you're welcome. It's at this point too, because of Mozgus's fire breath that he breaks through the blood monsters that are consuming Casca, and she falls, and he captures her basically, and
it was like, all right, Casca, you got 3 more times being captured.
Dude, it's like hot Casca, dude.
There we go.
Whoa.
There he is.
She's getting tossed around. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, she really is getting tossed around everywhere. It's like, they can't.
It's like hot. He's hitting another round of claps. We're like, wow.
I can do it. But then it's sort of then it's sort of like Mozgus and his torturers versus Luca, Nita, Jerome, and Isidro, which is, interesting. But what's really interesting about this is that there's a hole blown in the side of the tower that is causing there to be Luca, Luca's at the bottom of this chain. Then it's Nina holding on to Luca. And then it's like, I think Jerome and Isidro holding on to Nina. And they're struggling to pull their weight back
Real
up.
strugglers, one might say.
Real strugglers.
And who's attracted to strugglers?
Oh, who is attracted to strugglers?
But
Cody?
the man himself, the goat. We're talking about the goat man, but this is the real goat man. If you ask me, the Skull Knight doth returneth.
Yes, he does. Yes, right? He does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And what's interesting here too is Luca lets go. So this is the shining the light. This is why Nina looks even worse.
I know.
Because Luca
I know.
is real. Her light, her good is making Nina's like bad look worse, which is what Nina even realizes in that moment, that she kind of hates Luca for putting this mirror up to her and showing her who she really is. Like she hates herself more because of how kind Luca and brave Luca is. And so Luca falls and seemingly to her death, but is saved by the Skull Knight. And that was like a yes moment.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's when the music is blaring.
Yeah.
I need a hero.
Good choice. Yeah. Good choice of music.
Yeah, that's him entering. I'll edit a clip of if it's in an anime, I'll add that to that shot.
Please do. Yeah, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know why he was going out of his way.
It looked like he was going to go do something else. It looked like he was reluctant to help.
Yeah.
But because I think he is someone who like he's trying to convince himself he's going to fight the big fight and leave the small fight to people. Then he's like, and he like goes and he saves her
because the creature is there too.
Yeah, and he's after that, and like he wants to be like, well, that's the biggest threat. That's what I should worry about.
And maybe you're right. Maybe he's just also attracted to the strugglers.
Yeah.
And,
And I like the whole thing where she was like, I thought I was going to be able to catch myself on a tree branch.
She was like, I was stupid, but I guess I'm dead now.
Yeah, she's like, what is this, hell? You're death, right? I mean, it's a giant...
You're a giant skull man.
And they're surrounded by bodies.
Horse and
I love that she is convinced that he's death and that she's died because, you would. He looks like a Grim Reaper character. So she's like, man, I guess I didn't even catch him myself. Yeah.
And he's like, no, you didn't die.
Yeah.
You're just, this is the end of the castle. It's just madness.
And they're at the base of the tower. And the base of the tower is littered. It almost looks like where they fall. Another reason she believes that she's died, because contrasted with the Skull Knight, this land that they're on looks like another world.
Neatly organized bodies as far as the eye can see.
It looks hellish. And even for a moment as a reader, I was like, where are they? Because of how just horrific this landscape
Yeah, I thought
looks.
that was like, oh, this is his home territory that he like teleports to or something.
Yeah. But it was just the base where they've just discarded all of these bodies that they've just, these people, the people they've tortured and killed.
They said let the bodies hit the floor.
And boy, did they.
And that is a yes, sir.
You know what, Megan? That gets an honorary yes, sir, from me too. So you got one from Cody, one from me.
Shucks.
Shucks. So it's at this point too where, again, now where the action has sort of started to pick up. Now the plot sort of really starts to move forward, and we're really let in on a lot of what has been working behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes and under the woods.
Oh, I don't think that's how that goes, but we do get to see
what?
Yeah, Cody wasn't gonna let it.
What is it?
Slide.
Behind the woods, into the sea,
over the river and through the woods.
Over
to grandmother's house we go.
Yeah. That's
you
what
knew
that's
the
what I was,
words.
Yeah,
Well, you say
It's
that
a
like that's weird. It's a
common-
very famous thing.
For I guess like if you had like
You were there when it was written.
Okay. All right, moving on.
Anyway.
Moving on.
Yeah, step up to the plate.
Moving on.
Oh, dude, yeah, some shit goes down.
Yeah, but we finally get to see who those eyes belong to, the eyes that have been watching this entire time, and it is a creature that looks like a behelit, and a creature that calls himself the egg of the perfect world.
He was really having an existential crisis.
Oh, Megan, that's a yes, sir. That's a yes, sir.
There we go.
Yeah, that is great. I was gonna make a Humpty Dumpty joke.
I have a thing for his origin. that I'm.
I was gonna say like instead of all the king's horses and all the king's men, I was gonna say like all the chain knights and all the king's men, or all the king, whatever.
All the
you almost had
Yours was
it.
too good.
all the king's demons and all the chain knights.
Oh yeah.
All the king demons and all the chain knights. Grandmother's house.
Okay, all right. And I retract my yes here.
The Skull Knight like fights it for a bit, but because he's trying to also like keep Luca from being harmed, he like can't get the hit he wanted to get in.
And this thing is fast.
Yeah,
like super fast. And he, looks like a Behelit, but he also gives us a little bit of his backstory and who he is and why
a little bit
he has come into existence. Well, it's kind of sprinkled throughout, but he dumps a lot of it on us
yeah.
here. And it's so interesting because this is what happens if someone discovers a Behelit and has no one to sacrifice. This is a man with nothing and a man who, for all intents and purposes, is no one. Right. So yes, if Cody,
keep going.
No, and you.
If Cody.
Oh, that's what you were doing.
Oh, you were doing a me and you thing.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought you were doing a paying the camera to me.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I was like,
I thought you were
why
like,
are
give
you
me more,
proud?
give
Yeah.
me more. I
Give
thought
me
you
my
were
credit.
Yeah, I
No.
thought that's what you were
I was like,
doing.
why are you proud of this? Yeah. Anyway.
Face crack.
Oh, your face is a little cracked.
Is it?
Not yet. But he's a man with nothing, a man who is no one, and he has to
Megan
sacrifice.
like agreed with it, by the way,
She's
right off the
still
bat.
agreeing with it.
In the world where she thought I was going like, yeah, me, she went, yeah, Cody.
It's just
Yeah.
a joke. It's just a joke. Keep going, Josh.
And he wants to sacrifice the world. He wants to sacrifice specifically this world, the world that has abandoned him, the world that has never acknowledged his existence, that has never helped him, what is also interesting too is he gives insight into who he was before he came in contact with the Behelit, and his earliest memories were rummaging through this debris underneath this tower, so he didn't even really know how to talk. He had feelings, but he didn't have like thoughts, or he couldn't, like he didn't have language to, because there's an interesting line when he says that when he was granted the power of the Behelit, he finally was able to he finally had words to put to his feelings, or he finally had a greater understanding of the feelings he was feeling. But it's so interesting that that's how little he had. That was like, that little line like sold it even more for me. And just like who this person was. And it's interesting because like he has like sacrificed himself, which to him, his words was a tiny price because his life was nothing to begin with.
Look at me now.
Yeah.
I am become Eggman.
I'm Dr. Eggman.
I've become Dr. Eggman.
I've become Dr. Eggman.
The most powerful wish you could have, only accessible to the truest of sufferers.
And it's a beautiful thing, man. He is a little less beautiful, but it is a beautiful thing.
And I think he is better off being this egg than he was before.
Yeah, definitely an upgrade.
And he also has he seems to have a lot of the same abilities that a Behelit would have. He has the ability, just like a Behelit does, a Behelit will grant people this power and turn them into these apostles, which is what he does when he pricks them.
And he's an imitation of a Behelit.
And they are imitations of apostles, because when Guts...
Shadow
apostles. We should have been calling them this whole time!
Shadow apostles!
Megan!
We have Shadow Apostles. We have Dr. Eggman.
We have Shadow the Hedgehog.
Shadow the Hedgehog. The list goes on. It's all connected, you guys. Everything's berserk.
Everything is berserk.
Yeah.
But it is funny, though, because when Guts encounters them, too, that's why he doesn't... he's like, I'm this close to them, but my brand isn't reacting, because they're not truly apostles. So this person, this no one, was granted not only the appearance of a Behelit, but the abilities and the powers of one, too. Although... he is like mimicking them, much like this event is mimicking the eclipse. A lot of mirroring, a lot of mirrors. House of Mirrors over here.
House of Cards.
House of
Mirrors,
Cards.
mirrors.
Mirrors. True, too true, Megan. And so that is where we finally get that revealed for us. As this is happening, Guts is fighting Mozgus and his torturers, who have newly transformed into angels. They have sprouted wings. and begun to fly.
So that's the thing, right? Is the occult man? It looked to me like his goat mask got turned into like his actual face, and he got a snake dick. I guess those could be described as demonic themed abilities, whereas they believed in the heaven, and their abilities became like angelic based.
Gotcha.
Even though, so it's like based on their belief is what like caused their transformation.
And it could also explain why Mazgus is sort of transformed even further as things go on.
Yes, because it's just heightening his faith,
and maybe his faith is sort of morphing into something else.
Yeah, and
a form of like superiority or something.
His motive starts like breaking down as the fight goes, and he's like, at first it's like, I want to prove, let's show the world us burning this witch.
Yeah,
and then like, look, I'm proof of the grace of God.
Yeah, he has a transformation that makes him look like Scorpion, dude, from Spider-Man, but a cooler version, I think.
It's like if Kingpin became Scorpion.
Yeah.
King.
Go ahead.
Scorpopin.
Yeah, that was so.
So it's at this point that
Emperor Scorpion.
I can roll with that. So
Megan
Farnese is watching Guts in awe. Again, this is a very interesting fight. There's a lot that happens during this fight, but it is a fight. It's a great fight. Again, not much to unpack other than Guts is, keeping up and then struggling, and he's getting because there's so many other things that I think are more important to dissect. I don't think it's super necessary to go beat for beat through these fights. It is an important fight though, because of how Farnese is watching Guts in awe the whole time. She is just like awestruck by him and what he is doing.
Yeah, and how he's able to overcome his fear and like still have that like light, like you said.
That's what I think it is.
And she's like, wow, like I can't believe this person, this man is like able to do all of these things. And she sees like she wants to be that. And yeah, she's like definitely seeing him for a different side of him than she thought, because he's like actually like trying to save her. She's like, thanks, and he's like, don't thank me yet. I'm like, God, he's such a badass.
He's a badass for sure, hot for sure, but I think this is exactly what you're saying, Megan. This is exactly what I wrote down. Like, I think that Luca and Nina's relationship is paralleled a little bit with Guts and Farnese. I think Guts is holding a light later on, literally, to Farnese and showing her for the first time who she is. And showing her the things that she's been running from and that she's been afraid to confront within herself. And she does not like herself. And she is like, I think, very confused by what she's feeling and by what's going on in her. So for you to say that is perfect, because that is exactly the same vibe that I got.
Perfect world.
A perfect world. Also, when the Skull Knight is down there, I wrote this down. Does the Skull Knight eat another behelit when he's down there? He eats something.
It looked like he ate. Yeah, he like picked it off a thing,
or a crow gave it to him, or a raven, or some sort of bird had it in its beak.
Yeah, It didn't look. It was egg shaped. I don't know if maybe a fake behelit or like an imitation of a behelit.
Yeah,
or maybe that's what he eats to power up.
I saw a comment. We can maybe talk about it later, but I saw a comment relating to that. So I'm like, is that the case? But we'll talk about that after.
And now that this is something that Puck notices, but now that the brands of Casca and the brands of Guts are in the same place, the souls of the damned and their malice grows stronger. This is something that Puck notices. She's like looking at both of their brands, or he is looking at both of their brands like bleeding and noticing like, is it because these two people are in the same place? And this is the wave of causality. This is like everything leading to this moment. And I love that there's a line that the egg of the perfect world tells Luca. She's like, you played a part in this too. Like, you brought her here. And he's like, and I'll bet you didn't even know that you were like doing it, but you were, because you can't escape it, because it's the wave, it's the flow of causality. And it's not almost as if it is that everything needed to happen a certain way for Casca and Guts to be here in this moment at this spot for all these things to happen, to fulfill this prophecy. And as it moves on, everything has led to this, such the waves of causality. Serpico shows up, saves Farnese, loves Serpico. He shows up kind of out of nowhere though, but I'm here for it. I love him. and the tower collapses into the shape of a hand.
This is when I was like, no.
Shape of a god hand.
No.
Oh,
No. And
yeah, everyone just looking at the hand.
literally I wrote, not a hand. Oh God. Like you just know what's coming.
Oh, not a hand. Oh God. God hand.
Oh God.
Hand?
Hand.
All right. You've been watching Suicide Squad
Multiple times.
It's
a pretty bad movie.
It was okay.
I
thought it was good.
It was an okay movie that was bogged down.
Yes, exactly.
Bogged down. Speaking of bogged down,
how are you going to do this?
Guts' group is not looking good. They're bogged down by a fight that's happening, right?
Well, yeah, all right.
No. I'm keeping it on track, guys.
Thank you. And I'll just leave it at that. Thank you. And it's also at this point too that we see that like everybody is losing their minds. Everybody is so full of fear. The campsite is in chaos. The people are fleeing towards the tower. And Mosgus is holding Casca above them, demanding them to erect this pillar so that they can burn them, so that all these monsters can stop attacking. But they are all they are in disbelief. They are in a panic. They are all freaking out, rightfully so. It's at this point that we see the sheer the degradation or just the deterioration of their humanity. Mm-hmm. They start to do very selfish things. They start to become monsters as they're being attacked by monsters. And they're really willing to do anything to protect themselves. And of course, seeing Mosgus flying with wings, they think he has been chosen as this savior.
Yeah, I was like, that's a fair. He's like, look, I have wings. I'm an angel now. I would be like, yeah, who wouldn't agree with that?
Yeah, I've never seen that before. And I'm like, well, damn, I guess this guy who was torturing everybody, I guess he did,
I guess he was right.
I guess he was right. And now he's telling us to burn this lady, so we have to do it. Yeah. It's the only way to stop these things from coming in.
Yeah, and it's right around here too that because of all of this panic and all of everything that's happening, it's the people's voices and fierce desires align and become one, causing the souls to take the form of the God hand. So on this pillar where the hand has formed, these souls are forming the shapes of the God hand members.
Shadows of them.
What the Skull Knight said.
Yeah, so he was right.
Yeah, he was definitely right. And I think you explained it very well. And this plays into something that we'll talk about towards the end of the episode too. But someone in our Discord, shout out Vivi, said that a lot of what the Skull Knight was talking about was Plato's allegory of the cave. And so I looked into it and did some research of this.
You didn't know the allegory of the cave?
I knew it, but I didn't know it enough to talk about it. If I would have tried to stumble my way through it, it would have been embarrassing. So I had to brush up on it. But yeah, this is that. This is really, there is a parallel here between those two. One an allegory and one, I think, an allegorical story is what I feel like this arc is. Because I do think that there are characters and people in this that can mean something. Mosgus and especially the people and all that. But I digress. So yeah, where do we leave off? They're taking the shape and form of them, and Guts too notices this, and again, that's where he is getting that reaction in his brand. But he's noticing, he's like, it's not as searing or as sharp as it normally is. Mm-hmm. So it can't be really them. So what is happening? And I think Guts is he's very, very confused as well. And this is literally where the eclipse is mirroring it. So, this is where it's the same thing. And the Skull Knight drops off Luca, and he is confronted by Zod. Love Zod. Oh, don't know why.
Yeah, Zod is a really cool character, and their little feud is very interesting, and I want to see them fight.
Yeah, I want to see Skull Knight kill everyone.
Oh.
We got even more Skull Knight here than I thought we would.
Yeah, I was really, really happy about that.
Yeah, me too. Just like with Guts Jr., I was like, I feel like we're going to have to wait a long time.
Yeah, it seemed okay, so volume 40 is when Guts Jr. will be oh, he's back. But then it's Guts Jr. is doing holy explosion. Then Skull Knight's all right, I'm ready.
And I was like, what the heck? Like, where can it go from here?
I know.
And there's still so much left. I know. But yeah, anyway, so then the egg is crawling up the tower, catches a glimpse of sort of everything that's going on. Below, has that moment where he wonders, like, what if I would have got picked up by Mozgus? Like, I wonder if things
my life would have been different. Yeah, he's all contemplating.
Yeah. He's like, I bet things would have been a lot different.
My life would have been sunny side up.
Or maybe Megan. That was fantastic.
There's no way to top that.
That was fantastic.
Yeah.
And this is where he, speaking of Guts Jr., notices Guts Jr. and Guts Jr., say what you will, but that motherfucker is cute. He is cute. He's a cute little, I mean, like, seeing him like laying there, I was like, why are you making that face? He's a cute little baby. I see him now. Before, when Guts was in so fearful of him, I was like, who is this monster? But now that I know, like, that he's out to protect Casca, like, something about him when I saw him laying there.
So his personality and his character is cute.
I thought he was cute. I thought he was a cute little baby. I'm sorry that I could see the beauty. To be fair,
I don't think most babies are cute. So
I mean, I do have to agree with you there. We lost a little bit of audio here discussing the egg of the perfect world consuming the baby of Guts and Casca. And I asked Megan and Cody if they think that this was supposed to happen. Since the egg of the perfect world is constantly seeming to nudge things in a certain direction, was this supposed to happen? Or was this one of those unforeseen events that the Skull Knight was talking about? We'd love to hear your thoughts on this as well, but for now, back to the episode. Something makes me feel like Guts Jr., this wasn't supposed to happen.
I think he exists outside of the plans because he exists in both and neither world.
Yeah, I guess.
So in the same way that the Eggman is nudging things, Guts Jr. is also nudging things in ways that... So if there's a set timeline, the Eggman is like, he's throwing rocks, getting people to go where. And Guts Jr. is stopping Cos from getting killed because... I assume their plan is to like capture her, to like get her, but because Guts Jr. keeps interfering, they can't quite get her. Because how many times did he nudge a situation to where Casca was put into this situation to be captured?
Yes.
So it's not that she's not getting captured because like, oh, that's her role in the. It's like something is pushing her. Like, oh, hey, like someone just drags her to a sex cult. Someone takes her here. Guts Jr. pops in, and when she was going to be killed or captured, he gives her an opening to escape. I don't think he exists because he's in both worlds. They can't like factor him into their plans.
I could not fucking agree more. And I kind of had an inkling of that, but then hearing you say
How about a gutsling?
I had a gutsling of that.
Wow.
Hearing you really articulate it right now. Just like really like finally put me over the edge, and now I'm like convinced.
I think Guts Jr. so far looks like the hero who of like, you know, like, oh, this is the chosen one of power and magic. Guts is like a physical fighter. He was definitely not the chosen one. He became tough through like his life and became a powerful warrior. But Guts Jr. is in a position to have all this power, and he has been a force for good.
Yeah.
And then Skull Knight, I think now I'm thinking I don't think Skull Knight is going to end up being Guts Jr. from the future. But now I'm thinking maybe he was in a similar situation as that now too.
Yeah.
Because I really want, I hope we get to see Guts Jr. as a teenager.
Yeah. I'm hoping we get to see. I mean, and some things happen, but I'm hoping we get to see them grow up. Yeah, I'll leave it
all grown up, Berserk edition.
All grown up with
Berserk.
Tell me why. Tell me.
Here's another part where
ain't nothing but
a face egg. I can chime in sometimes. With
wow,
the song
Josh, you never do that.
That's because I just had
you
one.
Hate it, yeah, because you never have one. That's why you're mad at me and Cody when you can't be included.
Mm-hmm. Nope.
Yeah, no, he's like a baby about it.
You're a baby man.
Yeah, you're a baby man.
No. That was the most baby response.
No.
No. Isidro does another badass thing here where he saves Casca.
Yes, Isidro.
He legitimately. She's on the stake about to be burned. The flames are literally crawling up the kindling, and he bungees down, grabs her and pulls her back up. I mean, that was a badass moment. And he was also like on the back of Mazgus earlier.
And
like
he knows. He's like, if I do these things, then I could kind of prove to Guts that I'm trying to follow, that he will let me do that. So he's doing this for like his own benefit, but also he wants to help. So it's just so funny to see him do this. Just he's like, is Guts watching?
I have never seen the plucky kid sidekick like actually deserve to like follow more than this kid.
Yeah.
Because I am like, I hope you join, man. I hope you're allowed to keep going because he is like, I'm like, oh, that was a hero move.
Yeah. And like I said, he's doing like really important stuff. And he keeps saying that he's doing it so that Guts will owe him a favor.
Yeah.
I do think that there is obviously some good in him too.
If we're talking, well, yeah, I'll save a conversation about causality for the end, I guess. But I'm now thinking now that we're talking about how Guts Jr. could be affecting things. Mm-hmm. There is a story from maybe a video game, but it's relevant to causality.
Hey, I'm here for it. So the soul,
stay tuned.
Isidro saves Casca. The souls will not let Guts pass, but he pierces through them and down the tower and into Mazgus. And on the way down, he does catch a glimpse of the egg and seemingly something inside of the egg. Yes.
What could it be?
What could it be? Then Mazgus has his final form transformation.
Oh yeah, he's been transforming like throughout this fight.
Yeah, and he's turning into now that scorpion mixed with Kingpin sort of character. I mean, look, he looks really cool. His feathers have become sort of like armor now, and they're covering his face. His wings have become fists, and he's just
he's hard. I mean, Guts is having a kind of a hard time battling him.
I mean, super hard time. I mean, he even shoves Dragon Slayer in his mouth, and it's not enough to.
I love the commentary between like the conversation between him, and he's like, "Tell your God to leave me alone." He's like, "That was like leave me the hell alone."
I think me and my dad had the same conversation.
Exactly like that.
Yeah, it was the same. But yeah, I mean, it was a fun fight to read, and it was beautifully drawn. I mean, you're right, Cody, that no other character since ever, I don't think, has named all their moves like 1,000 God Punch or whatever. But I mean, it was drawn. All these panels were drawn so well, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was like in universe, this guy was doing that.
Yeah.
No one else does that. So he was just like really running high off these panels.
Oh yeah, he was into it for sure. He's like, finally God chose me.
Yeah, he puts Gus into a bear hug, and he's like, God's embrace. And it's like that. All right, dude, it's just a bear hug.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he was feeling himself for sure.
Yeah.
This is where, though, that Isidro and Puck fight the twins. The twin torturers, they have their moment. I think that's the moment you were talking about earlier. Yeah, super
Puck
awesome.
Spark? Come on.
Puck Spark.
Are you kidding me?
Yes, he gets leave it to me, and it doesn't get like undercut with a joke.
No, and he's like, are you sure? No, Puck, don't. He's like, I got this. Like, I could fight too.
Yeah.
It was such a cute moment. It was like,
he actually does something.
Yeah.
And it's because of what he does that Isidro is able to get that, hit on them and ultimately knock them down and kill them.
He's like, the twins, what have you done?
What?
My two twins.
And while all this is going down, and first of all, in this band of misfits that are running around, I've grown to love all of them. Jerome, Serpico, Jerome. I'm like, I fucking
Jerome's
love
awesome.
This guy, dude.
I literally wrote like, Jerome, don't die.
Yeah.
Like, Luca, don't die. No one died. Nina, I don't care.
Yeah.
Is Jerome the one who fought Guts in the beginning and was like, you're a man of honor?
No, that's Azan.
Azan. Okay.
Jerome is the guy who's when they're running around and Farnese and Serpico catch up with them. He's like yelling at Luca and Nina. Like, he's like, heretics, get ahead. And then he's like looking, he's like, I'm sorry, guys. He's like looking back and forth.
He's trying to like keep up the narrative that he's like taking them in. And then, what is his name? Serpico? No.
Serpico? Yeah.
Serpico, the kid?
No, that's Isidro.
Isidro's like, hey, you guys have to get. He's like, shut the fuck up.
He's like, they don't know I'm working with you.
Yeah, and then they all like band together, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, he's awesome. He kind of looks like we said, like 80s Guts or like yeah.
He's so fun.
He's with Luca.
But
the sideburns.
Yeah. The one with Luca. I'm like, please don't none of you die. I want to see you happy.
While all this is going on and everybody's having their heroic moment, Nina finally does something, and she falls.
She's like, damn, she good.
Yeah, she falls all the way down and survives again.
She's good.
Yeah, and then we don't know. They don't know if she's okay or not. But Mozgus is killed, and because he's killed, and now the people's fear is like rising even more. The blood monsters are gaining even more strength. So they all flee to the temple, and this is where you're talking about Azan. Azan is down there on the front lines. The guy with the the bludgeoning weapon.
Yeah, I was happy to see him again. I was like, oh, he's cool.
I love him too, man.
Yeah,
he is a knight. Just lives by his code of honor.
Yeah, and he's actually good.
Yeah.
I mean, I was surprised he was letting all that shit happen. I was like, okay,
he's
dude.
lawfully good too.
Yeah.
There were those characters seemed like they were like, it's nothing I can do about it. That's the kingdom's rules.
Yeah.
Versus being like, I mean, I'm kind of turned on by this.
Yeah. Is anybody else hard right now? And Azan's like, no,
this is awful.
This is battle. People are dying. But yeah, he's on the front lines, and he's saying like, you can't run away now. This is a knight's like dream, like their honor, their chance to prove their honor, protecting the people on the battlefield. And to his horror, he just sees everybody start turning on everybody else. Everybody is so afraid. And this is the irony that Luca comments on later, is that the irony is that everybody, because of their faith, runs to the tower for protection, because that's where they've seen Mozgus. And when Mozgus dies, they run to the tower to protect them. But the tower is where everything is, and where no light can get to. And even when the sun does eventually rise, where it's not going to hit right away. Mm-hmm. So everybody who's going to run there is running to their death. And they even close the gate and block more people out. And that's when Azan looks back and he's like, this is what it's come to, huh? And he's just done. I mean, I think he's pretty much in those moments like ready to die and die fighting. It's at this point too that with everybody's fear and despair and all these people, running around, the egg of the perfect world, its face aligns. And this is also where, as its face aligns, blood is coming down. Its eyes, no.
I mean, don't do that. Don't do that, man.
Cute moment. Sun's coming up. There might be some hope.
Yeah.
Guts gets to hug Casca.
This is where he's done with his battle, finally, and they embrace.
Oh my God. I literally was so emotional. I was like.
And she doesn't pull away. I mean, she definitely, I don't think, like fully embraces him back.
Well, during the whole time, he's kind of like protecting her. Like she sees him doing stuff for her, so she's not like totally against him.
Yeah, but I can't read her.
Well, no, she's very hard to read at this point, but I don't know.
Yeah, but she's
not crying.
Last time we saw her, she was actively pushing away.
I think a fugue state is right for the term for what she's in. I think that's the term for it, where she's kind of like out of her body. So I think it's kind of like having to like ease back into it. So I think that's the start of it for her character.
Yeah, that was a great moment. Great.
Speaking of great, powerful moments.
Oh my God.
Now we see Guts Jr., the child, in the egg swirling, but now it doesn't look as deformed.
This is why I'm thinking.
What is happening?
Yeah, I'm thinking it's going to like be able to turn into like a normal looking person.
Me too. Around this point, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
What?
And I'm thinking, was this all part of its plan?
Yes. Who's manipulating who now?
Yeah.
And what's guiding it?
But then.
Well, before that, the people turn on each other. Luca saves Nina again.
Oh, there you are, Chica.
By putting her in a barrel and just being like, you know what? Yeah.
Which was like, wow, no one tried that.
And it worked.
No,
it worked perfectly. No, nothing even like checked.
But her thing is too, she has this moment with Nina where she's like, I did like this line where she's like, if you're gonna realize this about yourself and be afraid, then be the best afraid person.
Yeah, and hide in here and just
hide.
Do this job.
Yeah.
That's only meant for you, you little whiny baby.
Yeah, but even in that moment, I mean, she is obviously very parental towards her. But even in that moment, I was like, damn, get her. Put her. I mean, she really does like always seem to know exactly what to say to like get her to listen, which for whatever reason she never wants to do. So Luca saves Nina. Guts, Farnese, Jerome, Serpico, Isidro, all of them are now keeping these beings away with fire. They realize, they see, because of Moschus's inflamed corpse, that it's the beasts are staying away. So they light things on fire and start just like holding them around in a circle to keep them at bay, which isn't really, it's working, but it's like they're still actively closing in on them. And their plan is to just wait till morning. That's the only thing they can do, really. And it does seem like, I mean, they don't have a choice. I don't know what else they can do. It's another interesting thing is, while all this is happening and the egg of the perfect world's face aligns and all these people are crying out, and the egg says that their voices have become one and they all desire one thing. It's weird because he is a Behelit, but not only is he aligning, but the Behelit that is in Guts' pouch is starting to like react to it too.
Yeah.
Which is super interesting. And then Puck's like, calm down, Betsy, or whatever.
Yeah, he's like, Betsy, chill.
Yeah. And that's when the prophecy that we heard the Skull Knight mention is fulfilled. And then we see the egg crack open, but we don't see what comes out of it quite yet. It seems like everything is at a head now, and the tower, I think it's around this time too that the tower collapses, and everybody is saved barely. Like they are on the outskirts of the tower, the far outskirts of the tower that barely get hit, and they've made it till the morning, but the Behelit has aligned. The people have called out in one. The souls consume everybody. The tower collapses. It cracks open. It's daylight. They've survived. You think, is that? I mean, this can't be the end. Like, what was in there? And right before you think they have a moment to just rest, the cushions, really? Like, the cushions come out of nowhere. And we're like, I don't need them right now.
Oh yeah, the super ninjas.
Yeah, they show up before we find out what was in the egg.
No,
yeah.
Literally, I'm like,
it's us. We finally made it. What?
Everybody's been waiting for us, right?
Why would they literally
cowering
go to their
in
death?
fear
Like,
from the mighty war? Oh, what the hell?
Don't they see what's going on? Yeah, I don't want to go in this fight. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, which I was like, oh, you absolutely waited for those those demons to go away. You're like, and now. Prepare for trouble.
And I don't want to see you. Dude. You're the last person I want to see. I want to see what was in that freaking egg.
Also, what are you even doing?
Who cares?
Why are you here?
Yeah, I would have rather the camera pan to Nina than the cushions right now.
True that.
I mean, it was so crazy. But, they show up. They're about to engage with Guts and the gang. And again, I'm like, come on, we were so close. And then Zod shows up. Zod breaks through, starts tearing them all apart. And that is because Zod has shown up, what we find out, to protect what was in that egg. It is very clear that he's there to make sure that egg is, whatever was in there, is escorted and protected. And that is, Griffith. Griffith has returned to the physical realm, dude. And not Femto, Griffith.
Bro.
And where is Guts Jr. And what's happening? But that panel, when Guts sees Griffith for the first time.
Or he just, does he see him or just feel his presence?
Well, I think he feels him and then turns and then sees him.
Oh.
It's a full page of
and
just Guts.
Griffith.
Well, it's just his still face at first, and it's like beautifully drawn, and just the shock and the like,
God,
what
you feel
the
it.
fuck in his face.
I know.
And then he has his Griffith moment.
Is Guts Jr., was he turned into Griffith?
I have a couple theories, yeah.
No.
I have a couple theories,
yeah.
No. Yeah. I have a couple theories, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I think this, dude, and we can unpack it more later.
No.
Griffith, it was always Griffith's plan, I think, and because of this deal and because of, this sacrifice for a new world, because he wanted a new world, and I think, because Griffith and the Band of the Hawk were on the edge of like ushering in sort of a new world under their sort of, with everything that they were doing and all the pieces they were moving. I think because Griffith was always going to come into the physical realm. And I think that this like egg of the perfect world acts as some sort of reverse Behelit or Behelit where the Behelit will take you into the astral plane. I think this took something from the astral plane and brought it out into the physical realm. And I think Griffith, this is why I asked you that question. I think Griffith needed a body to host because he is astral. When you see the other God hand members appear, it's just like reflections of them. They aren't like physically possessed. They aren't physically taking form in the world. But I think to walk the physical realm, it needed a vessel. And I think that its vessel is Guts Jr. But I don't know if it needed to be Guts Jr. or not, because
he either hatched from the Eggman or Guts Jr. And because he was inside the Eggman, we don't know.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, well, you only see, Guts Jr. during the nighttime, so we won't find out.
Yeah. So I think that Griffith was always going to come to the physical realm. That's always what was going to happen. But I think he needed a vessel to do that. Whether that vessel was supposed to be Guts Jr., I do not think it was supposed to be. I think it could have been anybody. I don't think, maybe he could have just come to exist without anybody in the egg.
Let's hope so.
But I mean, maybe, remember when the mother got captured and they said they had plans for that other baby? Remember? And we never got to see what happened with that baby. So I mean, like, there are some theories floating around online that baby could have been the one that was like intended, but it's a fan theory. But that it could have been intended, that baby could have been the one intended, and Guts Jr., because he can't be seen, sort of just like, popped in there. But yeah, I do believe that, yeah.
Which would mean that instead Guts Jr. wasn't protecting Casca, he was saving her for something else.
Don't say that, dude. Don't say that. I don't think he was, I don't
Or was Guts Jr. Griffith the whole time?
Well,
yeah.
Don't even speculate that.
And maybe he's without Femto now.
Well, I think that they're two separate entities for sure, and I think that he still is protecting them. I think that now Guts Jr. his essence is inside of Griffith. So I think if Griffith were to have just come into this physical world, who knows what he's going to do? We still don't know what he's going to do. But now I hope, at least, that Guts Jr. is there swirling inside of him.
Or not there at all.
Or he was just in the egg and then he went away.
And yeah.
I hope that happened.
And I hope he's not gone.
Yeah, I know.
That's fucked up. If that's what happens.
I don't know.
If he's gone, I'm pissed.
Yeah, I'm going to be so pissed. I'm not going to read it anymore.
This would be a great time for the Skull Knight to explain it.
Yeah.
No, don't worry, man. That's not what happened.
Oh, God.
Sorry, I'm late. I tried to get him.
We'll see.
Earlier.
We'll see. We can do nothing but
speculate,
hypothesize, all the big words to guess.
I mean, who knows, man? I mean, we can talk about it a little bit more. We just got to get through the remaining, and it's really only a few things that really tie this all together. Guts reacts to Griffith, and he almost starts to go into that berserk state. But then we see him kind of almost sort of revert back because he notices Casca or Casca makes a sound and he pulls back.
Yeah, because Casca's like trying, she's like scared or like in awe, and she's like,
I can't read her, dude.
She's like, and he's just like, it's okay.
Because she's moving towards him.
Yeah.
She's like trying, and the ahs and ohs, like, I don't know if that's fear, if that's like, I want to go towards that thing. I don't know,
but.
And I think Guts, this is a moment where he's realizing like he's about to go into his berserk state again. And then I think hearing or seeing Casca, he's like, I promised I wasn't going to leave her again.
Literally, I have her with me. If I do this, I might fuck it up again. And I promised myself I wouldn't do that. So let's just tone it back a little bit. And I applaud him for his strength in that moment.
The rest of the gang uses all of this as a distraction to leave. And,
Deuces.
Yeah. And they nearly evade the rest of the Kushan army. This like huge fleet shows up, and they're able to hide. They don't know what's happening to Guts and Casca, but then you just see Guts on horseback with Casca over the horse, and he's just bolting through the army, just slicing and dicing. And it's such a small panel. But to see Guts on the battlefield again, to see him part of a war, like that was so cool, man. To see him in that army setting was just like that, because we've just been seeing him slay these monsters in the forests and in the woods. But to see him on the battlefield again was really cool.
His roots.
Yeah.
And I just like them together again. It makes me feel just happy knowing that they're together again. And salty ass Farnese.
And she's having her own moment too, dude. Because while Guts flees with Casca, Isidro goes after Guts, and then Nina and Zhao Qim reunite.
Okay.
That was
literally not as stupid.
What was, because they meet a little bit before that again, and then she's like, why is he afraid of me? Like, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah, what do you mean? You tried to kill him.
Yeah, you almost, and you thought you did. Yeah.
And then she's like, oh, I mean, maybe I'm not the right girl for me. Like, absolutely you're not.
Let him live his life.
I mean, yeah, he's afraid of her, rightfully so.
She's acting like he tried to like kiss her, and she said, oh, I don't know, and then like walked away. She's like, maybe I hurt his feelings.
I mean, yeah, this is what I really wanted to get your opinion on, because they meet, and then Farnese and Serpico decide to go after Guts, and then they leave Azan to go back to report to the Chain Knights. So what I really want to get your thoughts on before we end this sort of walkthrough, and then we get into our thoughts on the arc as a whole. Nina and Farnese, their conclusions. Nina with Zhao Qim on the beach, and Farnese realizing that all these things are still within her and she needs to face them, and the only way she can is if she follows Guts. How did you guys feel about their conclusions in this arc?
I mean, Nina, I don't care about her character. Farnese, I've heard she gets some type of redemption, and you will see later. I don't know how that could be. But just her attitude towards like just everything being handed to her on like a silver platter. She's always been like, I believe wealthy, or in some aspect, like, you know, favored over. And then Serpico is her brother.
I don't know if he's her brother.
I think that they're like, I looked it up. I think they're like like half sister and brother.
There was a line of dialogue that seemed to imply they had some form of relation.
Family, yeah.
But I don't remember it being obviously stated. It might have been. But while she looks that up, Cody, what about you? How did you feel about the way like Nina and Zhao Qim's reunion on the beach? And
I was like, oh, okay, I just get back together, sure.
But how did you feel about them like overcoming, like, because then Nina left again, and I get it, like she has to go on her own journey, and I get it, like she's representing, like, because, and there's we're gonna get into it in the comments, because you guys left some great comments, some like amazing comments, and you know, it is about like growth, and it is about like fighting your own fight kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And she does like have this moment where she's like, I mean, at least she's kind of saying at the end that like she doesn't want to run from who she is anymore. If she can be with Zhao Qim, who is the same as her, who has the same fears, and which, you know, maybe he's a little, yeah.
The same as him is a stretch.
I think she's just too late.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he's a little jumpy because you try to throw him off a cliff. You know?
Yeah.
But, I mean, I get it's about growth, and I get it's about her accepting herself and trying to change who she is, and that's why she needs to be on her own. But it did feel like, I don't know, it did feel like when we left Nina, I just like, I really couldn't bring myself to really care about her. and
I don't know why she got so much focus, because if I like, it really was, she tried to murder him, got spanked, and then it's like, oh, he's still alive. Do you want to get back together? Maybe we shouldn't. I'm like, what was that?
And Zhao Qim, I mean, he really ran back to her too. He didn't even really think about it.
It's not like
that's more believable.
Yeah, look, on his end.
Yeah,
sure, absolutely, that's believable.
Yeah,
we've all been there
and done that. Farnese, I will say, even though she still hasn't won me completely over yet, I do at least look forward to seeing what she does later. More so than I care. This might be the last time we see Nina. And it wouldn't bother me if it was. But I am more interested in seeing Farnese, and frankly, only because she's being accompanied by Serpico. And I want to see.
They're half brother and sister.
They are.
Mm-hmm.
The trio over there. Where you got the sideburn, or maybe four. Cool.
Oh, Jerome too.
Jerome, the sideburns. Dexterity guy. Mm-hmm. Like I want to know if that's going to become like a B team or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Because there's so many characters we still haven't even met yet, I feel like. But yeah, so that is where the conviction arc ends. The final panel that we leave on is the Skull Knight looking out over a ravine onto the landscape. And he says, starting with the fissure opening on the frontier, the shape of the world began to crumble.
And fucking Griffith's face.
Wow. And Griffith's flying away on Zog.
Griffith's like,
what an asshole.
Yeah, it's just a poetic way of saying, fuck you fucking ass.
He just flies away, like in the most flamboyant way. And he's just like, fuck everybody.
God damn it.
Skull Knight's just, doth the world be reborn, you son of a bitch.
Yeah.
You bitch, baby.
Before this episode goes on for too long, because I still want to save time to get to everybody's comments. Everybody, by the way, did mention to us that Berserk will be returning with its final, I don't know if it's its final chapter, but it will be returning. And it is apparently the last chapter that Miura worked on. Whether it's going to be the end, I am not 100% sure, but it is returning. And now that I don't even know in the grand scheme of Berserk how far we are, but we're actually like, are we to the at least halfway point? I'm not 100% sure, but in terms of arcs, like let's look at the Black Swordsman arc, let's look at the Golden Age arc, and let's look at the Conviction arc. And how do you guys feel, and where do you think this arc ranks? And I'm curious to see where you think it ranks against the Golden Age arc specifically. Because for me, I will say that this arc really won me over. I was loving the Jill, Farnese, Misty Valley thing, but it wasn't quite on the same. It was a very different tone, and it wasn't quite on the same, I don't think, emotional level or cinematic even level that the Golden Age arc was. But by the end, and seeing the development that we got to see with Guts Jr. and the Skull Knight, I mean, this arc really won me over.
It definitely has, like you said, like different feeling to it. It has like a different type of heart to this arc versus the Golden Age arc. Like the Golden Age arc just made my heart ache, and this one made me like kind of rekindle some type of hope for Guts and also Casca. And I think that has to do a lot with like Puck's character, the characters that he meets along the way. It does have like more of like a fun air to it, even though someone said like, oh, the Breather arc is when like children are getting burned. But it it definitely feels a lot different. And I don't know if I could say, oh, I like this one versus this one, because they're both like, I can't really compare them, but you can compare them in the sense that they are really different in how they feel and how they read. And growing with like this story, like I'm just blown away continuously at how much we have to go still, and how the characters have evolved and changed. And
I think it's the closest we've seen to Guts returning to who he was, when he was starting to accept people into his life again.
With the
where
band.
He was with the Band of the Hawk. Cody, how do you feel this arc compares to the Golden Age arc now that we've completed it?
I thought there were more. I like the characters getting more moments and stuff. I don't know if I would say one is better than the other or not. It just feels like this is part 3 of the story.
Yeah.
And also it still feels like prologue.
Really?
Like in the sense of like, okay, well, like what the world of Berserk that people know of, I feel like we're now getting into it. When I say prologue, I mean like, oh, now we're like more like, now we've just gotten to the part of Berserk that people are like, this is the story.
Yeah, I don't know if I can say that one is better than the other for sure. I mean, these arcs are both very, 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 very important, and I think on an equal level. And you can't have one without the other. They're so important to each other. I mean, these are fantastic. I think that the emotional roller coaster that I felt during the Golden Age arc, like you said, Megan, it might have had more heart, but this one, in its own weird way, has more moments of hope. And I think, they're to me, they hold an equal place in my heart. This was an amazing arc and an amazing read.
Yeah. Just going from this arc going from Golden Age arc to this arc, it was just like, it felt like night and day with the hope aspect.
Skull Knight and Day.
It really did, because you were hopeless at the end of the Golden Age arc completely. You're like, how do you even come back from that? How do you bounce back, dude? Yeah. And now we've seen him bounce back, and he's relying on others more, and he's starting to, accept people into his circle, even though they may die. But I can't wait to see more of the character. Hopefully, I mean, anyone can die, but
and where it leaves off to, like,
and Casca and
just to follow up, like, we've had people ask us if we're going to continue to read this series after the events of the Conviction arc, and we absolutely are.
I need to find out what happened to Guts Jr.
I need to find out. I have to know.
That affects my feelings of this arc a lot.
Oh, 100%, dude. I mean, just because, like, where it leaves off, like, you can't not want to know.
Yeah, like, I didn't think he got turned into Griffith until you guys brought it up. I'm like, oh, that seems so likely.
And also, it's like, I wanted to keep, every time we stop reading and have to take a break, I want to keep reading so bad.
Oh yeah, me too. I mean, I think it is important that we do take our time to really digest it and to, have a breather, because it is a lot to go through and a lot to unpack. But I mean, this was a wild ride, and I can't.
It always is.
It always is. Even when you think it can't compete and it can't live up to the expectations that you have in your mind, it does every single time.
Like, it just blows away expectations time and time again, and it's just getting better and better. The art's getting better and better. It's just like,
oh yeah, the art has just evolved.
I just feel like it's never gonna fall off. It's amazing. It's such a crazy feeling to just be so excited to know that it just gets better.
Yeah, for it to continually top itself. I mean, it's truly a masterpiece. But I want to spend the last couple of minutes here talking about some of the philosophy, and then diving into some of your comments, because like I said in the beginning of the episode, you guys really showed up. We asked you to give your thoughts, your corrections, and you showed up and you had some really amazing insight and some things to say. So before we get into the insight or the philosophy that was given to us by Vivi, I will go through some of the comments. The first, and some of these are long, but I think they're all very important. So I'm gonna read through them as quickly as I can. The first comment comes from Ben. Sorry if I mispronounced your last name. Hramiak. I think the reason this arc is my favorite is the showing of how bitter and tired Guts is by this point, with the added benefit of having seen his backstory. You see how determined and vengeful he is, looking more like a villain or a monster in certain pages. I always love that design choice where he doesn't even have a pupil or much of a defined face in certain panels. And this is where, like, obviously Miura makes the choice to draw him as that sort of beast of darkness looking character, where he gives him that white eye.
And I mean, as much as you try to avoid spoilers for a series, older and has been around for a while, like, I've seen some stuff, not by my own will, but I've seen like some panels of stuff, and I'm just like, how does it get to that point, huh? Yeah. How are we gonna see that? And it's the whole just sprinkling information. And that's what I love about Berserk. It's all happens for a reason. It all intertwines with fate and Guts and where he's gonna lead to. And I just love that aspect of the story, because time and time again you're like, that was there because of that, and you can just connect the dots so easily when you find out all the information.
That's what I was saying in the beginning of the videos that we were doing too, in part 1 and part 2. Like, just mentioning that Ben says that this is his favorite arc because it shows how bitter and tired Guts is by this point. And that's something I noticed right away. Like, we get to see him actually dealing with all of this sacrifice, brand of the sacrifice bullshit, and how really truly taxing
band of the sacrifice.
It should be. We should start a band. He is just truly just like done. I think at this point he's at he's sort of at his end. And thank you, Ben, for your comment. The next comment comes from Edgar Ramirez. Edgar says, the Lost Children arc is the tipping point for Guts. He spent 2 years hunting apostles out of rage, and by the end of the arc, he changes his goals. He starts to care again and allows himself to feel vulnerability again. That's why he calls Puck by his name for the very first time and thanks him. It's more easier to notice that when you look backwards at the story, so once you catch up. P.S. No one saved Guts from the hell he faced through his childhood. This is to our Jill point that we had. in, I believe, our part 1 video. He says, and it's a great point, no one saved Guts from the hell he faced through his childhood. That's why he tells those powerful last lines to Jill. Even as a kid, she has no one to save her. She has to become a struggler. Otherwise, in Berserk's world, she would end up dead, both psychologically or mentally. And I think that resonated a lot with us readers that went through some bad shit too.
Yeah, I mean, like, of course we're like, why didn't Guts help her out more? Because he knows what that's like, but it's like, I mean, yeah, it's Berserk world. Anything could happen if you don't pull up your bootstraps. You're done. So, I mean, it's kind of a good lesson.
Feeling about that, Cody. I mean, you were, I think me and you both were, mostly jokingly, but there was also some moments of sincerity where we were like, kind of wondering why Guts, didn't do something. This comment does recontextualize it and give a good reason for it. But how do you feel like hearing Edgar's comment?
I mean, yeah, I guess I believe that he wouldn't do it. I still wish he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. But I absolutely agree with what he has to say. I mean, yeah.
I still don't know if the moral of like, you are on your own as a child.
But I think it's more so, I mean, Guts is a human, and as much as we want him to be a force for, whatever, good or revenge.
Basically,
or
I believe it as a character thing, but the moral of it is, I don't think there is a moral of it.
You have to
there might not be, but I think it is in line for his character, and I think it speaks more to sort of
that's what
That's what you're saying.
Yeah, that's what.
Yeah, and she's not going to be a child forever. She's definitely, obviously, going to grow up and take that lesson with her through life of having to.
Sure, I mean there are
do shit.
It can allude to like possible dark things happening. But I think as a character choice and in his nature, it makes sense because yes, he had a hard life and no one was there for him. I don't know if it's in a comment I'm going to read later or not, but someone else also points out that, Guts also doesn't know what good parents look like. He doesn't know, like he sees, Jill's dad mistreating her. He sees her even beat her, but, his dad, quote unquote, beat the shit out of him too. Like he doesn't know that is not how parents should act. I mean, he doesn't have an example to draw from.
Yeah, that's why as a character moment, I believe it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you just wish he would have done it.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah. I mean, I just wish he would have, at least punched him in the face.
Yeah,
yeah. I do like the
because it wasn't just physical abuse. I know it was like alluded to, but it was very clear he was molesting his daughter.
It's definitely alluded that his friends
were
when he got drunk and tried to go into her room and she locked it and held the door while crying.
I don't think that was the dad, was it?
Yeah.
Well, that was the dad, but there was a night where it shows one of his friends getting in the room and like approaching the bed. But yeah, her dad was trying to come in there. Whether it was to molest her or beat her, I mean, both very bad things.
Yeah, I do like Guts, like in his sense of equality. Mm-hmm. It's like he would have done that if it was a little boy or a little girl. So you got to respect him for that.
Yeah. We're going to get through these as quickly as we can. We got a few more to get through. This one's a long one. It's from Seth Turbyphil. Sorry again if I've mispronounced your name. I have to disagree with you that you could drop the Lost Children arc for a couple reasons. I don't think any of us ever said that.
Well, maybe he's saying someone said that because people like to just say, just don't read an arc of Berserk and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Don't understand that.
We've never said that. And I don't think you're accusing us.
I was going through my head thinking like maybe I did because like, where if you did skip it, what would have changed?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But
I'm going to say maybe I did say something like that.
Okay.
Along the lines of like, but also that's when I didn't know that the Black Swordsman arc already happened.
Gotcha.
So I thought it was going to happen still. So I was like, oh, where does this fit into the story?
Yeah, we got a lot of obviously corrections on that too, that this definitely happens after, which I had a feeling of, but people let us know that it is for sure after. Yeah, so maybe you might have alluded to that, but I think especially after having finished it, I would never say, I don't think any of us would ever say that this is an arc that you could drop ever.
No, it's one of the best ones.
It's amazing. So he says, from a structural point, We need something to bring us from the Guts just post-apocalypse and Guts 2 years after the eclipse. But it does way more than that. It also shows us Guts at arguably his lowest point, near the edge of becoming a monster himself. Not the same sort as the ones he's been fighting, but a monster nonetheless. You guys are great writers, by the way. Had Jill's father not shown him, it's likely Guts would have killed Jill in his rage. It's during this arc that Guts is forced to face the monster. His quest for revenge is turning him into the Beast of Darkness, I assume. Rosine sees it, and she calls him a monster during their fight afterwards. As Guts is being taunted by the spirits in the burnt woods, it's not just them messing with him. In the burnt woods, it's not just them messing with him. It's himself beginning to acknowledge what running on hate and anger all this time is doing to him, just like how the spirits later manipulate Farnese by using her real fears and insecurities about herself against her. The reason why Godo's words have such a big effect on Guts and us is that he's already begun to realize these things himself. Pretend for a second that Lost Children hadn't happened. I don't think Guts would have been willing or even able to hear what Godo was saying there. I've seen others dismiss the Lost Children arc before, and every time it just feels like they're missing a pivotal point in Guts' journey. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe I think I might be the one he's talking to.
Yeah,
or he's saying others as opposed to.
Either way, I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt and saying that he's talking about other people. But if he is saying that maybe you had said something along those lines, would you say that you, now having finished the arc, that you agree with his comment now?
Yeah. I think I was saying where does that fit? But I thought the Black Swordsman arc was going to happen, so I'm like, oh well, then we get to hear from here.
Yeah, and again, the reason that that I had kind of figured that is because he meets Puck in the Black Swordsman arc, so to me, he would have to then re-meet Puck, so it did feel clear to me that that had already happened and that we were seeing what had happened after. But again, just to clear that up, the Conviction arc definitely happens after. Reptar, then Dumai. Guts didn't mean exactly that was worst out there. He meant that was worse to stay with him. Okay, sorry, I copy and pasted these comments. It's okay. He at this point is tired of dealing with people that could be easily killed. In his perception, of course, Jill's ending wasn't intended to be happy at all. Is just a message that if you have the possibility to fight, then do it. Just don't wait for someone to save you. Jill at that point demonstrated that she had the ability and the maturity to fight against her dad, partially because she knows that he's a coward that can't properly fight at all. Sure, he has a sort of strength, but it's not that much. It's not a happy ending, just an ending that can remind you that even if your life seems hopeless, at least you can fight your own battle in as many ways as possible to confront your reality. It's hard to fight against these things. It may be impossible for some people, but if you have to live with it, confront it. Don't escape to a fairyland of dreams. I think that was what he intended.
I really like that. I really like that comment. It pretty much encapsulates like how you should feel at the end of that, and not like you said, you don't feel hopeless for Jill. You hope the best for her, and the whole dad situation, because he is a fucking, you push him over and he'll probably fall over. It's like you these people that are like abusers or people that have power over you, you put so much into your head, like you can never do anything about it. I can never like beat them. And it's just like you're giving them power by doing that. And I feel like she realized, oh, this guy's an asshole. I why am I so afraid of him? I could totally, wreck his shit. Hopefully she did. I mean, hopefully he's dead or something. But
yeah, and if there is a moral to the story, I do think it is that. Mm-hmm. And it's not it's a message that I think is important for some people to hear. And I think that it does. Yeah. Someone can read that in a similar situation, and like Reptar says, do whatever they can to fight against these things, and try not to run away from it. I love the line, confront it and don't escape to a fairyland.
That's where I'm like, did you come up with that on the spot?
That's what I'm saying, man. These guys are great writers, dude.
Did he he was like that was just in his head, and he was like, it's don't escape to a fairyland. I'm like, right, of course, the fairyland.
Me too. I'm like, oh my God. Yeah. I'm intimidated by some of these comments. There's only two more. This one is from Muffin Jar 98. The way I viewed the Lost Children arc was that Jill was supposed to represent Guts and Rosine was supposed to represent Griffith. If you go back, you'll see many similarities between the characters and their counterparts. Guts had to let go of his past self to continue. I just thought that was an interesting thing. I don't really have much to comment on. I think that's fair. I can see similarities, but I thought that was just interesting to read. And our last one. This is one that I thought was really, really, really important to read. It's the longest one, so I saved it for last. And I am so sorry if I mispronounced your name. Olusun Alufa. I am so sorry, but wonderful comment. The Jill conversation is a good example of why I like listening to you guys. You look at stuff from a more youthful and modern perspective, and that leads you
youthful and modern.
Thank you, youthful. Thank you for elaborating or stopping me there so we can all bask in that. You look at stuff from a more youthful, I'm going to say it again, and modern perspective that leads you all to unearth some unique critiques. That being said, and the reason I wanted to bring this up is because we had a counter comment from somebody else who I'm not going to read their comment, but I think that while their comment was, they had a lot of emotion behind their comment, I think this person very eloquently makes a similar point. And I think this is an example of like how you should talk to people. That being said, Jill being a child is not an incongruency, but the point of her arc. I don't want to spoil things, but there are plenty of examples in Berserk of children being the biggest casualties of its cruel world. From Guts himself to the Count's daughter, the Prince of Midland, the girl on the carriage that was arbitrarily killed by the apostles for helping Guts, and many more to come. Childhood is not a time of protection in the world of Berserk, but one of vulnerability, much like how it was for children growing up in the time Berserk was modeled after, the Middle Ages. One of Berserk's key themes is that of perseverance. As you know, there's a reason we fans call ourselves strugglers, and the power behind the metaphor of seeing a child like Jill choose to struggle against something so real and yet so abhorrent is why her story resonates with so many. Guts fights made-up monsters while she faces real, everyday ones. Bottom line, kids in Berserk aren't showcased in a traditional sense. Guts having a career as a mercenary pre-adolescence isn't an outlier as you're going to come across a few kids who, much like Guts, are out there getting into some pretty grown-up business. As for Guts not putting the abusive father in his place, that's in character, which is what you said, Cody. You tend to get two types of survivors of abuse, those who become sensitive to its occurrence and those who normalize it. Not to say he's cool with kids getting messed up, but he's yet to see what good parenting even looks like to determine what constitutes as abuse. His thing, especially at this time, is not involve himself with the affairs of normal folk, and the old man shouting at his daughter was normal. Could he likely infer the worst shit that was happening? Probably, but he's kind of half crazed with PST, dreams of vengeance, and sleep deprivation, and a near continuous barrage of near fatal wounds. You can understand his seeming ambivalence to her situation.
Yeah, I guess it's like I would have liked to see it, but I get why it didn't happen.
Mm-hmm. But I think these are all so eloquently put. Mm-hmm. I mean, yes, and the only reason I say this, and we do have to end soon, but it's just because we received another comment, and I don't really want to give it too much attention, but it was from somebody who was basically saying like, you can't put your modern and I think what this, by the way, commenter is doing is nothing. Is not what I'm talking about. But this other comment had said, like, you can't put your modern ideals into these settings. Like, you can't talk about like children being this or that, or people doing this or that.
Just like moral stuff.
Yeah, but it's like morals. And my thing is like regardless of the time, regardless of its fantasy or fiction or whatever. Or reality, like it's not right. That is one thing is timeless, and it's just like good and bad. And there are things that are good, and there are things that are bad. And I understand that there are periods of time in history where more bad things just happened, and it was more normal for those bad things to happen. It doesn't make them good.
I'll tell you an example of child abuse that I thought they pulled off well, which was in.
This is what you wanted to talk about.
Well, no, but it's not. This is Tom Sawyer. But they mentioned like Tom gets like beat by his like aunt, and she mentioned like it shows her narration. We like she like doesn't want to do it, but she's been raised like that's what you do when a kid misbehaves, and she lives under the belief that like if she doesn't do that, he's gonna grow up to be like a bad person. Mm-hmm. So it is like like I get why. I'm like, oh yeah, you should not like hit the kid when you're like, did you take this? And like also he didn't. By the way, Tom Sawyer was framed, but it was like, you know, you can still like show up people, like sure, like the commonly accepted morals will change, but like people, you know, usually don't. So they're like even a person who like beat their kid, you can show them being like, I mean, I don't really want to do this, but that's what you do. That's what you're supposed to do, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I do think that, you know, this last comment, like I said, articulated it so well and put it in such, you know, simple, but also just good words. And that made it easy to understand, like, yes, this is something that happens in this world. And this is, a story about perseverance and that children aren't safe. And you know, there is a moral and there is, something to take away from it. And I really do appreciate this comment a lot. And I think, like I said, it was really, really well put.
Yeah, it encapsulates all the themes of the story and not just saying like, well, it happens and you better buck up. It's like,
exactly.
It's like if you mean that, then say it. This comment is explaining why these things are happening.
Exactly.
And it's actually a huge thing in the story versus it's actually just in the world. You need to like not be such a crybaby bitch.
Exactly.
It's like, okay.
Exactly.
I didn't want, because like in order to say how it felt, I would have had to spoil the movie Split more than I was. So,
yeah.
Don't.
I mean, imagine there was a story.
Yeah.
Where it was, you know, a similar thing, and you don't get to see even them like fight back.
Mm-hmm.
You're just left with the impression that they will, and that is like the happy ending.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, that's gonna ruin that movie. So
I mean, I think it's fine if you would have ruined it. It's a cool movie, but I mean, it came out so long ago.
But that's not.
I know.
It's never an excuse.
I really appreciate all these comments. I mean, you guys really helped contextualize everything, and you, like I said, you put it into you are all such
it's
good
so
writers.
Scary.
Yeah, it's so scary.
This isn't like a shonen where someone will comment like, actually, that was a cool arc when he plays basketball for 4 volumes.
Yeah.
This is like, all right, look, you seem to have missed and I'm like,
you seem to have missed a big key element.
Oh my God, I'm sorry. Yes.
Thing.
Yeah. That now that you say that does seem pretty obvious. I'm sorry. And they're like, and it's fine, but we're all strugglers here. And I'm like, I can't even be mad because you're so nice to me.
Yeah. Everybody.
Thank you for showing me the error of my ways.
Yes. Everybody who we picked, by the way, you guys were so eloquent and you guys were so kind, and we appreciate just like offering up the information and your opinions the way you did. I mean, fantastic.
Yeah, we appreciate it so much.
Yeah, we really do.
It's so much more refreshing than being like just laying it out like this, and we're like, oh yeah, that actually does make sense. Versus what we were talking about with other comments that are just like, you're not explaining anything. You're just saying no.
Yeah.
It's
you're wrong.
Yeah. We're the kid that followed Guts, and you guys are Guts.
Yeah.
We're the kid throwing rocks at demons. Yeah. And
throwing rocks at like meanings.
Yeah, it's like, does it mean this? You're like, no, fuck.
Yeah, exactly, dude.
That's how this feels.
Exactly. And for the sake of brevity, if you can even say that after 2 hours, and for the sake of time, I do want to just put some links in the description. Vivi, our Discord member, did compare some of the themes and philosophies of this arc to Plato's allegory of the cave and Plato's theory of forms, which I'll link to 2 videos in this description down below so that we don't have to go through it and make this video any longer than it needs to be. So there'll be links in the description to that. I think it's very, very interesting, and I think it fits and applies to this story. And I think it's really interesting. There's a video that is sort of like an animated video, and then there's like a teacher that is giving a lesson. And I think that it's very informative and it's so interesting. And I think you guys can get a lot out of that. And you guys can probably get more out of the actual video than you can get out of us trying to explain it. Yes, Cody.
So the thing about the video game that explaining fate, but now I don't know if Guts Jr. was actually Griffith Jr., this doesn't really apply.
Well, I don't think he was, but go ahead.
Okay, I hope to God he was not. But there was this Kingdom Come Reckoning, Kingdoms of Amalur. The thing is, like, the world has like a set fate. And there's fortune tellers who can like tell people's fate, and everyone is fate. Like a farmer can be like, oh yeah, you're gonna get killed by spiders, and there's nothing you can do to change that. That's your fate. And what they do is they try to create someone who is free from fate. And so like you don't have the destiny to save anyone, but you don't have the destiny to die. So in that game, you bump into that farmer, and you like, oh yeah, here's like some money you need. He's like, oh thanks. And because of that, he ends up not going to that place where he would have been killed by spiders. He then goes on to become a very successful farmer who's able to help the community out. And it's like from there, like causality and like the villain wanted that set fate to happen. But because you like go in just a little bit and you nudge things just a little bit, but now like everyone you interact with, because their fate wasn't to meet you, now their fate doesn't exist anymore. Now they can do anything.
Interesting.
And that's how it like that was my impression of what Guts Jr. was doing, which was like just sprinkling in like, well, now you're not a part of that set rules because I've interfered at all, because I didn't exist in those plans. Unless he was Griffiths Jr. and his plans also involved saving Casca and doing all those things.
Yeah.
In which case, wow, he really won twice.
Yeah, we'll see.
Guts is 2-0.
Yeah. The only way to know is to continue reading, which we are definitely going to do. But that is going to do it for our conviction, our journey. We are at its end. Thank you so much for being a part of the journey. Yes. Thank you so much for everybody who commented. Thank you all for watching and listening. You guys are the best. More Berserk to come. Yes, soon-ish. We are going to take a little bit of a break from Berserk, kind of digest everything, collect our thoughts, but we will pick back up again. So as always, thank you for watching and thank you for listening. We have to shout out our wonderful, beautiful, amazing strugglers, our Patreon members. Yay! You guys are the absolute best. You guys, you warm our hearts. You guys are the light that protects us from the shadows. You guys are amazing, and we appreciate all of your support. And we appreciate everybody supporting however you can, whether it's just by watching, whether it's just by listening, leaving us a review on iTunes if you're listening to audio only, by leaving a comment, subscribing, liking, any way you can. We appreciate your support so much. It really, truly, honestly means the world to us. But if you would at any point ever like to become a Patreon member, you can always do that by going to patreon.com/volume1pod. That's going to do it for the episode. It's been another long one, but I think it was necessary. All that's left to do now is to get out of here on our outro that is always the same and never changes, which today, a lot of pressure on the part 3, but today is...
shit.
Let's see.
Well, I saw a comment that was things take a turn for the Berserk.
Oh.
I did see a comment like that.
And I said that we dropped the ball.
We dropped the ball, so we need to make up for it.
I think that's perfect.
If that commenter makes it to the end of this video, this one's for you. So we should say, until next time,
things take a turn for the Berserk.
Okay. Thank you, as always, for watching and listening. And until next time,
things take a turn for the Berserk. What? Oh my god, I'm so excited to keep reading.
I need to find out what happened to Guts Jr.
Oh my god.
Me too,
oh
dude.
My god.
I really hope
he
wasn't just a good person.
I really don't think